Yes, my people, welcome back to another episode of Where's My Podcast. And today we're joined by another very, very special guest, somebody who I've wanted on the podcast for a very long time, trust me, since we started, and we finally made it happen. We have my guy Dagye, the founder of A Day Without Angst and Jeanius Bar Atelier. Dagye?
Yes, sir.
My guy, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a
You're
long
welcome,
time coming.
man. It has been, bro. We're going to get into it today, fam.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
So obviously, Dags, like I said, at the start of the conversation, I basically say why you, the guest, are in the chair. Mm-hmm. And naturally, as somebody who's wanted to have a conversation with you for a minute, there's a few reasons. Mm-hmm. I'll say the first one is people that have been locked into your journey have seen the growth over the years. We've seen every single type of growth we can think of, Dagye. In you, we've seen the growth of your business acumen. We've seen the growth of your brands. Yeah. We've seen the growth of you as a person, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. And the reason why I feel like it's so important for me to have a conversation with you in front of people is so that people can really understand the sacrifice and the graft it takes to grow in that way. Because I feel like there's a disconnect when you just see somebody in increments and then you see them somewhere else. As much as you appreciate and you applaud it, unless that person comes and really shows you what it took to get there, you're never truly going to understand. So that's the first reason. I know you got a lot to say regarding that, so we'll get into that. The second reason is, bro, like I said to you before we started recording, now, bro, I can tell you have a genuine desire to help people, bro. And that's rare, bro. Do you know what I mean? Especially people that get to your position, they get to your level, it becomes so self-serving. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like they make themselves an idol. Whereas if you, like you said to me off camera, the only reason you're doing this conversation is because you want to help people, bro. And man, love that, fam. And finally, you epitomize the type of energy that I feel like our listeners need to hear. And that's that energy of you genuinely know you could do whatever you want. And Dags, bro, that's so flipping rare. Because a lot of people tell ourselves that. Like, I try to convince myself that, bro. I'll be honest. But I'm not there yet. But I know when you actually believe that, bro. And it's interesting because I was watching one of your TikTok videos the other day and you mentioned that you shouldn't be too smart. Because when you're too smart, that's when you start telling yourself no. You start finding all the reasons of why you can't do stuff. So I feel like you found the perfect balance between being intelligent enough to know what it takes, but also being delusional enough to reach the heights that you've reached and the heights that are coming, bro. And let me think one more thing actually, Whenever I see your stuff, Dagye, it evokes a reaction that other clothes that I see never evokes, particularly things in the UK, right? And let me give an example. I remember when I was watching your YouTube vlog and you went to speak to Pogba, you dropped him some bits. And Pogs was like, bro, have you studied? Like, how? Like, did you study fashion? And you was like, nah, bro, I dropped out. And that shock at what you produce is testament to how you think and what you believe you can create. And during this conversation, I want us to kind of break down how you're able to design things that are able to evoke that level of emotion and disbelief. Because again, bro, that's so flipping rare, fam. So that's why I want to speak to you, bro. And I'm excited for us to start.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Let's get to it.
Let's do it. So yeah, man, let's get straight into it, bro. Where do you come from? What's your background like? Straight from the jump, bro. Take it away.
So I was born in Germany, Hamburg.
I used to visit there growing up all the time.
Yeah,
love
it's
that
like,
place,
it's
bro.
like
Did you used to go to
Ghana.
did you used to go to the Dome, that fun fair?
Not much
wicked.
because I live kind of far from it.
Okay.
But born in Germany to Ghanaian parents, both parents Ghanaians, first generation immigrants. And when I was 11 years old, my whole family decided to pack up and move to the UK. So I moved to the UK when I was 11. And I've been here ever since.
Whereabouts did you move to?
Milton Keynes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Milton Keynes. That's another thing that people are like, what the fuck?
I knew that already, obviously. But what was it like when you first moved over? Was it a bit of a culture shock? Obviously, you probably spoke English.
No, I didn't.
Oh, none. You just spoke. Do you speak Twi as well, though?
Yeah.
So Twi and German.
Yeah, but even at that time, at that point, I wasn't really speaking Twi like that because I was just young. I don't think I really had the comments. Like the Twi kind of really came more in my teenage years. I already spruced it up, but so really you could say that I could really only speak German. But yeah, it was for sure culture shock because it was very traumatic for me. That was like one of my I feel like one of my first traumas because I feel like I don't know how it is for other people, but I'm very like aware. Like I was at 11, I was very aware. I was very aware, and I'd say that I really had like developed really like a life. Like I really had like strong relationships with like friends and people in my community, and I'd really kind of already built a life for myself. So when I just very abruptly had to leave that behind, It was very painful for me because I have 2 younger brothers. One was 7, one was 3. But with them, it didn't really affect. They were too young.
Too young.
So with them, it's almost like they're English. Whereas with me, it was very painful when we had to leave. And of course, you come here and it's like, you know, you're like an outsider kind of thing, especially when you don't know the language. And yeah, it was just like different. It's like you go from living in apartments to you come to UK, everyone lives in houses. It's just different. It was just people would just behave and different. I could just feel right that it was a kind of different kind of energy out here. It was a different kind of vibe. Yeah.
Do you feel like by the time you came, you knew, I don't know, like the characteristics of yourself that could help you assimilate into British culture or make you different?
Not necessarily. I don't think I was even thinking like that. Like I said, I was so in my own thoughts. I'm probably just thinking about like kind of what I had to leave behind, and I was very, like I said, very upset about it. But I don't know. I was already a black sheep already, even in Germany.
So that in what sense?
Yeah. Like I don't know. I kind of was always just kind of already like trying to do my own thing. Like I kind of like I didn't like in school. Like I grew up in a very like nice kind of area. So like it wasn't like I was a bad kid, but in school like I had a good kid. Like it was good. But I was kind of a little bit troubled. So I get into a little bit of trouble. Like you know what I mean. Whereas most other kids really didn't. And then just like little things, man. Like I just remember like even like church. I wasn't really even trying to hate church from very young. I was really just like not really. You know what I mean? Whereas like yeah. Whereas like my younger brother Andy, he's like very just like whatever you told him, he's like yeah okay. Like he was just cool. Whereas I was kind of always like questioning or like I know what's better for me type of thing from very young. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I just had a feeling of like I knew how outsiders get treated, so I feel like I had it inner wanting to like come in and kind of integrate as quickly as possible. So that I'm not really coming from like an inferior angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because when you say that, I'm intrigued to hear what that process was like for you and whether you continue to try to do that or not. Like, in what ways did you feel like you tried to assimilate into, you know, British culture up in Milton Keynes?
I mean, I guess kind of just like, you know, the main thing is that you kind of join the school and you kind of just start to observe and see what's going on. Like who's the top player in the class, what are people into, and kind of just like how they move. But I feel like the easiest way I think was football. Because obviously I was playing football in Germany too. And then you come over here, that's kind of like the way in to a lot of stuff. And then it was kind of like, I remember my first friend that I met, his name's Harley, and he was in my class. Because when I came, I joined in year 6. And I remember like him like asking me like what football team I support.
And you're thinking, what?
Yeah, what are you talking about? And I remember he supported Chelsea, so I was like, I support Chelsea too. It was that kind of thing. Yeah.
So football was that. But you know what? The reason why I asked the question, I just asked you in that way, is because I feel like I've noticed that about you in the sense that you've been different and you've always tried to be different.
Yeah.
So I'm like, had you kept that mentality of just trying to assimilate, you probably wouldn't be where you are today.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So when was the point where you felt like, fuck this, I'm shedding that, I'm being Dagye?
Not even that, because I mean, I feel like already I kind of came in like that because, like I said, even like the things that I kind of liked or what I was into or the way I liked it, I could already see that them lot that I came to join us, they wasn't like that. So I'm already knowing. Like, for example, like I remember it was like a proper thing. Like I remember when I was in Germany, it must have been not too long before I moved. Like I've been already knowing what I like and what I don't like. I remember my mom took me to Foot Locker to get me trainers. You know, at that place, your parents are trying to like choose what I'm like, nah, I'm not hearing it. And I remember there's this pair of Air Force Ones that I really wanted, and I'm probably like 10 years old at the time. And I don't think they had it in the store, and I think there was like another store like on the other side, and I made my mom take me there like just to get these trainers and all that. I'm just like, yo, how does a 10-year-old know about that in such depth and let alone care that much?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then obviously I'm coming and joining the school and I'm already like caring about the swag and I'm caring about, and even like kind of like the video games I'm into.
It wasn't FIFA like the rest of the boys.
It wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't. So already I was different.
Okay.
already I was different, but I think I came in already knowing that I had a higher taste level. That's what it was.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Do you know what, Dagye? I find it interesting that you position it as that, in a sense that saying it's higher means that it's not necessarily better, but it's rare. Do you know what I'm saying? How did you acknowledge that it was rare in a positive light? Because I feel like when you're young and you realize that you like different shit to, let's say maybe the quote unquote cool kids in school who would have just cared about football and playing FIFA and that, you would sometimes start to feel like you're a pariah and you need to be like them. Whereas you saw your difference as almost like a power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what it is? I just feel like I was kind of like, from a young kid, like via media, via the TV and things like that, I already knew what I was drawn to. I already knew what attracted me. And I feel like when it came to the other people, what it was that, when I say I feel like higher taste level, I think what I'm more saying is that I just had a higher level of awareness and care for these things than the others did. Mm-hmm. So to them, it might have just been, it's just a pair of trainers or whatever like that, whereas like I already had a level of care. Mm-hmm. That's what I think it might be, you know? And it's like, if I come around and you guys aren't like that, I'm not gonna just like pretend to caring to let care. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I feel like what also probably affected is that I have an older brother.
Okay.
I have an older brother, but he was born in Ghana and he moved to Germany probably when I was like 8 or 9. But what was very influential to me at that age, and I'm very conscious of that, is that what I was like really drawn to and what I was like seeing on the TV, which is primarily like black, like hip hop culture. Mm-hmm. And you gotta remember, it's also, I'm seeing it from even a way further aspect because I'm German. So even the stuff in the lyrics, I'm not really understanding it. So I'm consuming it from like a super duper fan standpoint. It's like it seems so far away. I don't ever see it's not like you live in New York. Yeah. And then your grandma thinks, so like the stuff that you see on TV, you kind of see it also around. It's like, I'm living in Germany, and on top of that, I'm living in like a really suburban area where there's not even many black people. But my older brother was literally like the people I'm seeing on TV. So my brother's pulled up, and he's wearing Rockaware, he's wearing Timbs, he's got Air Force Ones.
But he came from Ghana.
He's from Ghana though. So he was essentially kind of like a rich kid in Ghana. So he went to boarding school, whatever, because my parents obviously were in Europe. But he's just up on stuff. This is in Ghana though. Like back in those, not before internet and all that. He just like, I can show you some pictures. Like he's Rockaway, he's got the Rockaware jumper.
Sean John and that.
Yeah, Sean John, Timbs. He's having Air Force Ones and all that. So I'm like, yo, what the fuck? My brother's like he's like the guys that I'm watching on TV. So I feel like that's also what gave me a certain level of awareness that like my brother was really that, like he was that guy.
And obviously you admired him, so you wanted to be like him.
You feel me? Yeah. And I'm the one that comes after him. So certain things he kind of like, you know, he put me onto and stuff like that. So because of that, I feel like, because like I said, I just feel like I already had much more of a knowing of what I'm into, personally into, by the time that I arrived. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas I feel like others hadn't even reached that point. Yeah. Where they're even really thinking for themselves. Yeah. Type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I like that because that's a good segue to talk about your style in them days. Yeah. So naturally, with everything you're saying, Dagye, I can imagine that again, because you were different to the people around you, you weren't dressing like them. No. And you weren't trying to dress like them. So what was your style like back then? And is your style what made you realize that you had an interest or talent for fashion?
I think my first like incline to knowing that I had an interest in fashion is, like I said, I'd be watching the TV and I was just so drawn to the music videos, always the music videos, and like the way they were putting things together and just like the confidence that they were moving, just the bravado and all of that. That's kind of what I was drawn to. And I just know that from as early as I can remember, when I was walking around as a little kid, it might have been a toddler, the first thing I was always drawn to was people's shoes. I'd always look at someone's shoes first as a little kid. I was just interested in the shoes and things like that. And yeah, so I guess I was just like, I was influenced by what was like 50 Cent. 50 Cent was the man at the time.
Yeah, he was your guy, yeah.
50 Cent was the guy. 50 Cent was the guy. And then And like I said, I had my older brother who was kind of in line with like the New York kind of way of life. So I guess it was literally like a little baby version of it. But I even remember being like, I probably would have been 8, 9, 10 years old. And I remember either taking the bus or taking the train to go to like this one train station where my best friend in school, his parents owned like a kiosk
In
at the train station, and they sold like these little like fake like chains. It was like the big cross chain, long chain.
Yeah, like 50 cents.
And I remember like it was like €5 or whatever like that. And I remember like saving my coins and going and buying that. And I'd wear like a do-rag at like 10 years old. Like, I was on that. Like I was on that. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like that's really what I was doing. Yeah.
So bringing it back to the UK. So obviously we understand that you were influenced by that type of swag. Do you know what I mean? When it came to you actually deciding to get into fashion, was that the type of stuff you tried to emulate, or was it like by then it was a different time?
No, not really, because I feel like, because you got to think, I came at 11. So between 11, I probably really jumped off the porch and started my actual creative endeavors, probably like getting my feet wet with it, probably like 16, 17.
It's a long, big difference.
It's a big gap. So in that gap, what I was actually trying to do, what I actually wanted to do, I wanted to be a footballer.
Okay.
So all my focus for actually what I want to do was football. But just how I dressed and what I was into, that was just separate. That's just how I was coming. You know what I mean? But obviously at that age, I just don't think I was realizing that I was actually probably even more interested in that stuff than I actually was in football.
Yeah.
Because you know what it is, you're young. That's kind of, it's like religion. It's like at that young, it's kind of, when you're young and fit, there's something wrong with you. You're going to be playing football.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I just, throughout my school years, like I said, I was trying to play football. I was at a couple clubs and all of that, but it was like, for example, you know, you come here, I went from, in Germany, you just wear whatever clothes you want to school. And because I was already putting my fits together and all of that, then you come to school here and it was a school uniform. And then I remember like almost right away, like when it went from my first like mufti day, I kind of became known as the guy like, this,
People are like, what the hell?
Yeah, you know. And then I feel like when right before we moved from Germany, my brother went back to Ghana, then we moved here. And then maybe after a year or two of being here, he moved over here too.
Okay.
And by the time that he came over here, I'm growing probably like now 13, 14 when he's moved over here. So, because I'm growing now, I can actually fit into some of his hand-me-downs. So he's now starting to give me some of his old kicks, like certain Adidas Gazelles, certain kicks that he's having. He's not, and no one else is up on that stuff, clearly, you know what I mean? So that's really what it was. That was like my school kind of year. So like I'm fucking up every mufti day. Yeah. Every mufti day. And then I have an aunt. She's like one of my biggest supporters. Bless her. She lives in America. So she was like my cool auntie. So my mom's like super Ghanaian, but that's her sister. And she's like, her little sister. And she's like super Americanized. She's got an American accent, all of that. So like in them days, what she would also do is she would send over like Ralph Lauren pieces.
Yeah.
So this is Ralphie Day. This is when the coldest thing you can have is Ralph Lauren polo.
Yeah.
So I'm coming out like long sleeve Ralph Lauren, yellow polo with a blue thing, matching it with blue and yellow Gazelles. Like
no one was on that.
Nobody. Like
because
people
everyone
can't even
would just get
afford
the
Ralph
normal
Lauren.
black and red Ralph
Lauren. If that, or they might be wearing void jeans over because Ralph polo might have been like £70 back then.
Facts.
I remember I had this one like orange cashmere Ralph Lauren cardigan.
Cardigan?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It was different still.
In secondary school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. So I was always just advanced. Like, I was just advanced on some like futuristic shit or like some grown shit.
And it's crazy that you're still the same now.
Yeah.
Like it's like when you're ahead, you kind of always stay ahead.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's mad.
Yeah, because it's your timeline. It's like it doesn't matter. It's just like if you start ahead because it's your timeline, it's gonna always be ahead.
Yeah, real talk.
Yeah, that's why you don't really worry about buyers because it's like you're behind. It doesn't really matter. So
let's go to the point where you thought you wanted to be a footballer.
Yeah.
When did you realize that, fuck football, I'm a fashion guy and I want to be in fashion?
So I was at Peterborough United under 16s. I was at Peterborough under 16s and I was there almost towards the end of the season. And I was doing well. It took me a little bit of a minute to kick in because it was like a new level and you're coming around a lot of like top rank kind of guys. I've been at a lot of clubs and stuff like that. And I remember the coach telling me that I'm not gonna get a scholar, and that they were gonna help me like find a few other clubs and whatever not. And then I remember I went on trial at Stevenage, and was doing really well. I was bagging like every game, and like every week more and more people are being let go. So I'm basically like in the final squad type of thing. And I remember on the last day of the season, we had Colchester United away, and I was like, that's Essex. That's like an hour and a half drive. And I remember, you know, African parents. My dad was always working, but when he could, he'd try. And this day, like, he took the day off and drove me all the way down there. And I remember, obviously, I played up front. I was prolific as hell. Like I said, for them, I was scoring like every game, always singing my praises. And then when we got there, obviously I was expecting to start, but I remember not long before, another guy had come on trial. This like light-skinned guy came on trial, and he was decent. He wasn't nothing special, nothing like that. And I remember on the day of the game being told like, oh, he's starting, I'm not starting. I was like, okay, that's a little bit weird. And then I remember did he score? I think he even scored. And then I remember I came on the second half and I bossed it, and I scored as well, bossed it, whatever. And I remember after the game having a meeting with the manager, and he was like, yeah, we were looking to give you a contract, but the head of youth obviously came to watch, and he in the last minute has decided to like want to give it to, I think it was, I don't know if he said it was the other guy, or if he just decided to say that he wanted to give it to someone else type of thing. And it was just kind of like, it's fucking weird. Like, what else do you want me? Like, do you want me to do? What else do you want from me? And yeah, that was that. That was kind of sour. And then I remember after that, probably would have gone on trial to a few other clubs. And then I remember I went to Kettering, who were like non-league, and then they had like a you know, you have them like college kind of programs where you kind of study and whatever like that, but you don't get paid and all that. I was just like, nah, that's not for me. Because I've been intelligent. I've been very, very competent. And I come from a family where we're expected to have a certain standard. Like my dad especially, like my dad really, you know, put that down. So, I saw it as beneath me. It didn't make sense to me. So as I was kind of seeing what was going on, I had enough self-awareness to be like, okay, maybe it's not for me. Because that's when you're 16. That's at the end of the under 16s. That's obviously when they decide if you're going to get a scholar or not, and then you go on to play under 18s for whatever club, and that's also the time when people go to sixth form.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, you know, I'm going to pack it in. And just, go study, go sixth form and just play like semi-pro like with the man. And if something can come out of it, then whatever. But I was fine with that. But that was kind of probably the whole football thing, like the ascend from like, you know, Sunday League and being one of the top boys probably in Milton Keynes and Sunday, like in the world of Sunday League or that, and then trying to ascend into the professional world and just kind of seeing what it is. I feel like that's probably the first time that I truly like seen a lot of the stuff that acts as the foundation of the stuff that I talk about now, like the reality of life, you know, the little nuances and the little things that are at play at constant time that like nobody really that no one really likes to speak on, that no one really likes to, that everyone wants to pretend it's not there, but it's there.
I feel like a good word for it is the hidden evils.
Yeah, you know, that's what it was. I feel like that whole little journey is, I feel like maybe that one of the first things that made me have to look at like the harsh truths, the harsh realities of life. You know, going to Peterborough, and I'm going, and there's a lot of guys, like I said, I've been at a lot of clubs, a lot of big clubs, and you kind of start to see like the hierarchy, like social hierarchy, someone being the boy, you coming in there, and you know, just like the level of confidence that I came in there with, because I must have obviously definitely felt inferior to a lot of the people there. You know, you go from being a big fish in a small pond, you know, like, to a big, and you end up being a big fish, small fish in a bigger pond, and just seeing like, yeah, like I said, the uncomfortable things that no one really likes to talk about, kind of how you get dealt with as a young African boy, like dark African boy whose parents can't take them to it, and you've got to come vibe like that, or you've got to come with somebody else that's coming as well.
You know, like the people whose parents aren't necessarily going to mingle with the coaches and go
Yeah,
drinking with the
you know,
others.
that's when I started to
stuff.
see all the little things. Like, cause
Yeah.
I've already been very, very aware, like probably too aware, like from a young age. So now I'm starting to pick up on these small little things. Like, for example, like the striker who was there as well. He'd been there since a young boy. Dad's at every match. Yeah, named Matty Sparrow. He's even got a name that sounds like his name for it. Yeah.
You can imagine that.
Yeah. His dad's there at every game with the manager. I think they go drink after. Kid was just full of confidence. Like, you couldn't tell him nothing. He's like a Michael Owen. Like, he was bagging everything. And yeah, man, I just remember a lot. Like, I remember constantly like having low confidence in a lot of these scenarios. I wasn't coming there as the real me, because like I was feeling the effects of these invisible things at play. You know, how the boys that have been around get treated, how you get treated as a kind of the new guy, and then like I said, when you come in as the new guy and you're maybe not as teed up as you'd like to be, kind of how that was.
Sorry, Dagye. Sorry to interrupt, but we'll continue with that. What I'm liking about hearing this part of your journey is it makes certain things make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're somebody who likes to control in a good way.
Yeah.
Not a control freak who's gonna control people for negative. No. Like, I feel like you've really understood the power of entrepreneurship, and you want to own your own ship. You don't ever want to be in a situation like this ever again, where you can do what you're told to do and still not get what they tell you you're meant to get.
Yeah, that's when I learned that. I feel like these things were really like playing. Yeah, I could really see them for what they were. You know what I mean? I could really see them for what they were. And just how people treat you. I could just like, it's like a case study, and just like kind of on how people treat you. And then, like I said, again, after, I remember when I went to Steven, as I said, that new guy, I remember like, cause he was like a light-skinned guy, but his dad was like black. Dad was probably like Jamaican, something like that. I remember like he had like a proper presence. I remember pulling up on the day of that game, sat in a big boy Range Rover, sat in a big boy Range, and his son had all the new gear and all of that. He's bringing him blah, blah, blah. So I saw how that affects these little things, that the outside things affect the result of things that aren't directly to do with the direct ability or the direct thing. I started to see these things. And then, yeah, like I said, when you can do everything right and you still don't get it, that definitely like left a mark on me. And yeah, so yeah, I feel like that all of that kind of like just taught me a lot just about life. Just taught me a lot about life. And what was I going to even know?
Because I was talking about that when you had to make the choice between football and fashion.
Right, yeah. So obviously, like I said already, meanwhile, while this is all commencing, I'm known as the guy in Milton Keynes, as the fly guy. Like, Power League, whatever, like man, no. Like, you know, because at this point, 15, 16, you're going to house parties, you're linking up with other schools, and you're doing different things. And I feel like another thing also that, like, allowed me to make that transition was that, again, like I had a lot of, like, I was truthful to self, because I came up around, like I said, Milton Keynes, all we really did was play football. So I'm around a lot of guys that I really like that. Like Dele Alli, I went to school with Dele Alli. He was a year below me in my school. His brother Harry, they're both the year below me in school. Their best friend, like I knew all that kind of the boys in that year that were at MK Dons. Then I had a few older friends like Daniel, for example, Kick Game. Yeah, like his best friend.
You don't go.
Yeah, that's like my big. Yeah, he's
man.
from Thingy. He's like my big bro in Milton Keynes. He's like 3 years older than me, 2-3 years older than me. And then his best friend is Jeffrey Schlupp, Crystal Palace. Then you got his other best friend, Ebby, who was at Aston Villa at the time. So I also had around me a lot of guys that were like really doing it. So I knew that I wasn't of their level. You know, I had the self-awareness to know that I'm not of their level. You know what I mean? When we're going Power League, like there's a difference.
And you were strong enough to just swallow that.
Yeah, you know, like I wasn't a liar to myself in that kind of sense. And then, yeah, I guess like once that happened, secondary school's finished now. You're going into sixth form now. You're kind of more grown. Like, you know, it's time to kind of, people are looking for part-time jobs and everything like that now. You're going to sixth form where there's no uniform. And I feel like just more and more, was just growing into myself. I was just growing into myself. And I feel like in and around that time is kind of when IG was coming around. And I think my boy G was the guy that trains me. He already had it way before me. He had an iPhone, he had an iPod or iPod 3 or something. Like, he had something like that. So he's already, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And he's showing me and all of that. So I feel like simultaneously as me starting to really get into, because like I said, football's done now. So I'm starting to lean more and more into myself now.
And fashion was a part of you. So
Yeah,
almost inevitable.
Yeah. Like that's who I was. Like that's who I was. So, and I feel like with my friends, like my friendship group, like growing up, we almost had like a pact, even from then, like 14, 15, 16, where we kind of like, oh, we're never going to work for nobody. We was already talking like that. We was already moving like that. We're never going to work for nobody. Like we were very like sure of ourselves and very like stubborn. We were like, we're not going to work for ourselves. And by the time that we got to like 16, 17, majority of my friendship group, like I've jumped on road and they're doing whatever.
So that's kind of that version of entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's that kind of avenue of thingy. And you know, I'm young and we're all kind of getting to it like that, but I can tell from a very like young point that I'm not into it. Like, I'm not really into it. Like it's not, you know. Of course, like most young people, you delve and you dabble. But I realized quite young that wasn't me. And I was just more at that point. This is like the kind of cross section. This is like kind of the time when like ASAP Rocky's kind of come out, and he's just exposing this whole like high end world now. Because obviously I was already a big fan of Kanye, but Kanye again it was from a like much further perspective. Kanye was like way bigger than life, especially back then. You couldn't ever see Kanye. It wasn't a thing. Whereas like the ASAP Mob came out when they were doing it in like a young, rugged kind of way.
Similar to our age.
Yeah,
it's
know
like
what I mean?
We was talking about before we started interviewing about when people are so far away from you.
Yeah. And when I seen that shit, I was like, yo, that is it. Like, this is it. So that's why even like where to draw back to when we talk about how everything now kind of is through the streetwear lens, the streetwear view, I feel like a big part of that also is to do like, I think like, I know, people like Clinton that they were, when we were growing up, they were like fucking with Supreme and shit like that. See, I never really had that phase. I never really had that phase. For me, almost off rip, what really drew me in was the high end thing. Yeah, that's what it was.
So before you saw ASAP or?
Like kind of, even before, but then kind of as I was kind of like, as that around, I was in and around that time as I was making my transition from wanting to be a footballer, finishing school and then going to sick, that was all kind of in and around that time. And I saw like what they were kind of were doing. I was like, I fuck with this.
Why do you think it appealed to you? As in like the high end side of fashion?
I don't know. I honestly don't know what it was, but it just felt like maybe because I was already different and I was already like doing daring things. I'm already doing daring things. I'm already doing like things that probably most of my peers and that is daunting for them. You know, I was already coming like that, and when they were doing it, that's what I see myself in. I don't know. That's just how it felt. Yeah, that's just how it felt. Obviously, as a kid, like I said, I was first drawn to like American culture, was like hip hop, 50 Cent, things of that nature. But then when I was older, what drew me in was that shit. It was like it was like the fact that it was like high end. These like exclusive things that aren't really made for us, but they're doing it in this like really young and rebellious, youthful way. Because that's how I see myself. I don't think from a young age, I really had like a punk kind of attitude. That's really how what I was. I was really like a real like rebel, like anti-establishment. That's really what my attitude was.
No, that's, I can see it.
Yeah, so like really, even when like my friends, like, you know, everyone has a friend, like everyone has a phase of like wanting to be a bad boy, or be a bad man, or like a road man. I didn't even have that. So even when people were like leaning into like the whole like that thing, I was always leaning into kind of being like the different guy, or being like the rebellious kind of guy. Yeah, almost kind of like, because I even started at some point, it was even kind of being like, it's kind of being like a black white boy kind of thing. Yeah, and I think another thing that probably played into as well is that, again, I lived in like very white areas. So my mum made it a conscious thing. Like she'll tell you, she used to tell her, she made it a thing that wherever she lived, she always kind of made it a thing to kind of avoid heavily populated black areas. Because it was like her deterrent to keep us out of trouble.
I hear it.
Yeah, because we're 3 boys.
Yeah.
4 actually. My older brother, we're 4 boys. We have no girls, just boys. Yeah, so she knew what there's potential for chaos. Especially 100%. With me, I've been turned like from a young kid. She knew I have that thing in me. He's got that fire in his eyes where it's like if he's in the wrong environment, he's gonna turn. So I think that's another thing of it. I was always in very like white areas. So like even like when it comes to like vintage clothes, I've been working with vintage clothes since like when I was like 14, 15. Because
Way before it was
before
cool.
it was a thing. Like where black people would have been like, that's dirty,
Yeah,
nasty, like,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because my next door neighbor, her brother was the owner of a vintage shop.
Wicked.
Yeah. Like a vintage shop. So yeah, that's really what it was. I had like kind of different influences and I was just never drawn to the bad boy thing. And even like in my like 14, 15, 16, I was really fucking with like Wiz Khalifa and Currency, who were doing the kind of like, it was kind of like a hippie-ish kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So
To the point where do you know what, Dags? I'm so happy you spoke about the racial influence of it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some people can almost see it as a negative.
Yeah.
Whereas for you, you just embrace the fact that you're a product of your environment, but also you have the nature part of Dagye, which is this rebel. Do you know what I'm saying? So all of that kind of culminated in the punk type of style and the person you were. Do you know what I mean? Whereas somebody might try to run away from that. And had you run away from that Dagye, you would not be the man we see today.
Yeah, that's what it is, for sure. For sure. Like, because I just knew, I think I always had a thing for like being multifaceted. Like, I found it pretty cool, like, that I found it kind of cool, like, to be like in a trap house with some of my niggas and some of their, like, the older niggas or like that are doing serious shit. But I'm wearing some shit and they ask me, like, what the fuck is that? I kind of found that cool. That was my thing. I like these like weird juxtapositions. I fucked with that. Like being with some like real trapper and he's like, what the fuck? Like, what was that? But you're kind of rocking it though. Like, I fuck with that. Like, I like that. I kind of played into that. And I feel like with me, the reason why I never ran away from it is because I had such a strong culture and identity at home. So I knew there was always a balance. No matter how much I like roll these like white boys on some like that, it can't go too far by default. Because when I got home, my parents are speaking tree. They have real, you know what I mean?
Facts.
So yeah, but I always enjoyed like being multifaceted or like being into shit that maybe the normal person that's like me is not into.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're speaking about it in this way, Dagye, because also, especially as young black men growing up in the UK, it's almost as like we're told to believe that we aren't multifaceted, that we have to be the different stereotypes that they set out for us.
I really see that when
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a blessing that people are hearing the fact that you were aware that you were multifaceted and you've leaned into your different passions and your different, I don't know, urges. And again, it's led you to where you are today. Sure. So in terms of when you started Dagye Studios, I would say that's my entry point to you.
Yeah.
Where I saw the custom denims, bro. And them times, speaking of influences, Young Thug, Future, and the Atlanta wave, that was my thing, bro.
Yeah.
I wasn't like really into ASAP and them, man.
That was
so I remember when I'm on their pages and then I'm seeing this young man, high top, you get it, with them giving them stuff. I'm thinking, what the hell? And I'm clicking your page. And obviously I'm thinking this is just some American brother. From Atlanta as well. Then, bro, I'm seeing you, a British brother. I'm like, what the? I had never seen anything like that before, bro. So from there is how long I followed you. So let's talk how you kind of got to that point.
Yeah. So obviously Sick Form started, and I feel like in and around that time, like I said, that's when I got introduced to Instagram. And I don't know, clothes have always been my thing, as I said. So I feel like my way of expressing myself when using the gram was like, it was kind of gonna be around my style. I've never been like one of these like super like selfie dudes or anything like that. That was never my thing, you know what I mean? So naturally, I started kind of posting my things in there, and then people are starting liking it. Now I'm starting to reach out to people that are outside of my immediate circle, which is Milton Keynes. And I remember at that time, I'm starting to come across different creators now that I'm seeing doing cool things around the world and all of that type of thing. And I remember there was a guy called Brick Owens in New York who had a service where you could send your jeans in and he would distress them for you, and then he'll send them back to you. And I wanted to do it, but because like I said, I've gone to the high end thing, so I've become obsessed with Hedy Slimane, who was the creative director of Saint Laurent at that time, and his Autumn Winter 13 collection was like probably one of the highly coveted like collections, especially when it comes to like, this rebellious punk kind of thing at the time. And then I wanted to use a service, but it was hella expensive to ship there, risk customs, pay that, come back, and all that. And logistically, it was just a lot. So something in me just was like, why don't you try it yourself? Someone was like, why don't you try it yourself? And I did. And I used a cheese grater. And I did. And I took a picture of it in my mum's kitchen and I posted it. I was like,
that was the grey pair.
Yeah, that grey pair. It was that grey pair. And I saw people comment all that. And I was like, damn, all right. And it sparked me. And I was like, yo, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do this. Because already, you got to think, I already have this thing in my head. I'm stubborn. I'm saying I'm not going to work for no one. So even when I'm going to sixth form, I ain't got no real interest in getting this shit done.
Even though you knew you could?
Yeah. Like, I'm not really hearing it. Like, I'm there, really, I'm vibing. Because I got kicked out of school in year 11.
Okay.
I got kicked out of my school in year 11. And then I joined another school for sixth form. And I wasn't serious about the work. I'm already knowing I'm not really serious about the work, but I'm really just doing it because I need to, like African parents and whatever. And what else am I gonna do? And I did that, and I saw the reaction, and I was like, "Yo, this is something that I could do." Especially where I'm saying I'm never gonna work for nobody, and I'm not feeling like trapping. I'm not feeling it. It's not what I want to do. So I just I remember at that time. I think after that, I started offering the service to like distress people's jeans. I think that's the first thing I did. And I did that for a while. And I was like, yeah, now I need to figure out how I'm gonna like make my own product to sell to people. Yeah. And then that's when Dagye Studios came about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when Dagye Studios came about.
So when you were like doing the jeans of Young, Thug and Future and whatnot, was that part of Dagye Studios? So you sourced the jeans?
Yeah, that was Dagye Studios, but that was probably like maybe like 2 years into having started it. Yeah. I probably would have been about 2 years into having started it. So again, at that time, I know what I want to do, but I have no experience and I have no money. And at that point, manufacturing isn't how it is now, how you got someone in your DMs every day saying, I'm a manufacturer, I can do this, or you know, you have TikToks all over, or you can Google it. It was nothing like that. The world of manufacturing wasn't open. So I'm very savvy though. I'm trying to figure things out, and I'm figuring out like where to find someone. And I'm using Google. I've become a professional Google user for sure. I'm reaching out to manufacturers, and denim manufacturing is like a very tedious and long thing. So I think even for all of them, they're talking about minimum order quantity is 300 pairs.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I'm like 17, 18, I got no money. My parents don't want to know, like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, how the hell am I going to do that? So that's what sparked the thought. I was like, yo, I can source vintage Levi's and use them as my base. Because I know Levi's is a certified brand, it's been certified. So that's why it's so crazy and full circle that years later, Jeanius Bar Atelier is based on that. When at the time, it was due to necessity. I just made do with what I'd seen I could do, you know?
And even going further, you understanding the vintage world is part of, because like you said, your neighbor owned a vintage store.
See what I'm trying to say? So there's little bits
everything
of
just comes
remnants.
together, bro.
Yeah. Without that probably, the foundation of that thought wouldn't exist. You know what I mean?
So then, when it came to you, like starting Dagye Studios and having that thought, did you understand what it takes to build a brand around the product?
No, not at all. Not at all. And maybe again, that's that whole thing of just being stupid enough to believe in it. I didn't even really look for the intricacies of no. I just figured out, okay, cool. There's a social media platform. I posted something on there, people liked it. I somehow managed to use it to thingy, so like I can just it's pretty simple. Just do it. Just do it type of thing. And and then I just started sourcing different pieces, and from that I started, okay, cool, I can do the same thing for a hoodie, do the same thing for a jacket. And then slowly started finding the pieces of the puzzle. And then I was like, I'm gonna make a brand, and obviously, you know, young and just like not much thought. I'm gonna name it Dagye Studios.
yeah. But you know what's interesting about that, Dags, though? I don't even think that's young and stupid. I think that's partially maybe influenced by your understanding of high fashion. Yeah. Because everybody, there's designers, like Gucci's a person, Hedy Slimane, Rick Owens, where some people will start, you know how they make the jokes about when you're supposed to you just call it some stupid word or something. So it's mad how, again, it's so mad how all the influences just created what we see today, bro. It's wicked, man.
That's what it was. And then, like I said, like what I seen that drew me in, it's like, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to be. And nothing, it was even like, oh, okay, that these are like the topics you have to work. I was like, no, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. I want to be like Hedy Slimane. I want to be like Christopher Khan and Bulman. That's what I want to be like. So I was like, however, like I want to think it, like I'm gonna force it. I want to do it. You get me? So that's what it was. That's just what it was. I'm looking at their photo shoots. I'm like, okay, cool. How can I like do some shit close to this by myself? And then yeah, it was that was the first. Yeah, the first Dagye Studios drop with the pink bombers and the pink hoodie and stuff like that with the jeans.
Yeah, that pink bomber was too cold.
Yeah.
Speaking of that though, Dags, yeah. Again, and this is something obviously relates to your brands now. Everything you make, Dags, yeah, just feels different.
Yeah.
It feels new. And going back to like the feelings your stuff evokes, yeah. I remember when we Rash and I were in Paris and we was at your pop-up.
Yeah.
And obviously we were just chilling there, but I'm observing.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the different types of people come past, but I'm also watching their reactions to when they see your stuff, bro. It's like people are shocked and they're like, what is this? But they're so drawn to it. Even when I was going to do my research and I looked at that pink bomber, I'm like, this is just a bomber, but it's not just a bomber.
Yeah.
So when I want to use this part of the conversation to speak about your approach to design.
Yeah.
Like, was it always your desire to create something different? And the reason why that's an important question is because naturally, if you're trying to create something different, in your head, you may feel like it's harder to sell.
Yeah.
Like, really and truly, if you feel like you want to build a business and make a lot of money from it, part of you, especially as a young, inexperienced person, is going to be like, you know what? Let me just make something I know people will buy.
Yeah, like that's what I said. I feel like those kind of thoughts didn't even cross my mind.
Wow.
I was kind of like designing to my taste, and I know I've got taste. That's kind of, I feel like how it was. Like I was the customer I was kind of designing for. Like, what do I want? That's currently not out there, type of thing. So that was my gauge. That was my just like gauge as to what to go with and what not. But it was like, it's strange because I wasn't thinking about money. I just wanted to create something sick. I just want to create something sick, man, and just put it onto the world, something that's levels. Like, I want to be like these guys. However, I'm going to do it. I just wanted to do it. So, yeah, I wasn't even thinking, oh, this is going to do well. And I was like, yo, I like this. This is sick as fuck. I want to put it out into the world. Yeah.
And what type of people did your early Dagye Studios designs attract? Because, again, like you're saying, your taste level was different. So, for example, maybe the people around you wouldn't have appreciated what you could. Like, who would have been brave enough to wear a pink bomber them times, bro?
Nah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I feel like, again, because of social media, because that world of like high-end fashion was such a small like niche, I feel like quite naturally, especially because IG was different back then. Back then it was when you could still see
what people are
doing, their activity, things of that nature. So I feel like because of it being such a small niche at that time, the people that were into it was very easy for them to kind of connect, find each other, all this type of thing. So like even people like Murder Bravado, I don't know, Who Decides War.
Oh yeah. Oh shit, you've known him for that
I've been known him since like 2016.
Fucking hell.
He influenced me a lot as well. So I'm seeing things of that nature. And it was like, so already there's a few people like in London and stuff like that that have that like that type of stuff. That are looking at Kanye, that are fans of Kanye, that are buying whatever it was at the time that's hot. Balenciaga, Arena, like the small things, some people, so mostly it was people like that were in the know of things like that, that were tapping in. Yeah.
So at them times, do you remember having something for time and then you started to clock that bare people were having it?
Well, like different fashion items?
Yeah,
for sure.
Like what? Give me examples. Cheers,
This is one of the funniest moments. You can probably still go find it. I remember I got grilled on Twitter one time. This must be like 2015. And it's so funny because my memory's so good that one of the main culprits that was like flaming me is quite a known figure, like in the thing that now, and he's my customer. Like he's my customer. No, he's my customer. Like spent crazy money. Like he's my customer.
Yeah.
And I remember it was the Margiela, the future sci-fi futures.
Yes.
So the Margielas with the strap.
Yes.
So imagine those shoes. Like I think that might be my first high-end shoe that I bought.
Yeah.
Maybe 2013. And I found them on like this outlet website in Italy, and they were brown leather. And I remember I took a picture of them and I put it on Twitter, and people were grilling me saying they look like a
space boots to that.
I think that guy was saying that they look like sofa. They look like a sofa.
That's funny.
They look like I think someone even said they would look like Goku's shoes. They were killing me. They were grilling me. They were going, I was getting it. And then like, how many years later would it have been when they became popular?
I don't know.
I think when Tory Lanez was doing them. I think maybe like 2016, 20.
Yeah, so maybe 2 years.
Yeah, like 3 years later. I think Future started wearing them. Tory Lanez. I remember Tory Lanez is kind of what made English people value them. I remember it like thingy.
But who did you see it on? Or you just knew of Margiela? So
I knew about, but maybe ASAP. Maybe one of the ASAP. Maybe one of the ASAP members. Yeah, I feel like maybe one of the ASAP members.
How did you feel at that time when you were getting corned for it? Were you at that point where you were so cemented in who you are that you're like, you lot are laughing now, just watch? Like, did you know you were forward? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't like, oh, that's making me feel like, oh, I don't know. No. I found it funny. It was funny. Like, it was funny. Like, you niggas don't know. Like, you niggas don't know what it is. Like, you will know soon. You'll know soon. But that was a funny moment. That was a funny moment for sure.
So when it came to, again, building Dagye Studios, did you start to attract like a international audience from all the way back then?
Yeah.
And why do you think was that the case? Do you feel like in the UK, we wasn't necessarily... Because you mentioned the UK quite a lot. I see how you kind of position the UK as different to some other locations.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the UK wasn't as forward in comparisons to maybe people in the Far East or even in Europe?
No, not I'd say Far East, but I'd say Europe.
Okay.
I'd say like, Europe. I'd say like, you know, like Paris, Germany, Netherlands. Because I just feel like the influence of American culture is stronger in those places. That's what it is. That's what I feel like truly it comes down to. So I feel like a lot of the things that I was enjoying and I was tapping into, they were too. So I probably feel like even like A$AP Mob probably back then probably would have had a lot more super fans in like Paris, in France, and Germany and these places probably in comparison to the UK. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And at what point did you realize that you now officially like work in fashion? Like you're finally the entrepreneur that you always wanted to be, and this is something that you can do for the rest of your life.
Ooh,
and also, in fact, because I want us to part that question, but I also want to speak about the moments where you was around these influential people giving them stuff. Because I kind of wanted to tap into how you were feeling at that time. Because like I said, Dags, you were the only person doing that, bro.
Yeah, it was very surreal. It was very, very surreal. Because like I said, even like, a lot of these, like I said, are my influences. Like these are the guys I was watching. Like, yo, these guys are turned, and these guys are like are killing shit. And then like now I'm in rooms with them. They're wearing my clothes. I'm like, this shit is crazy. And that's what I feel like when I started to really realize like how crazy life can get. You know what I mean? I feel like up until that point I hadn't really grasped it. I really hadn't grasped it, like that it could be like that. Because even like when Lancey and I met, is because we had the same interest. Because I think the first time I seen was at London Fashion Week. London Fashion Week. I'd seen him. I just walked past, but we didn't think each other. And then somehow I found him on Instagram, like maybe a couple of weeks later or something like that. And I seen him. He had a picture holding a bunch of Balenciaga arenas. And I was looking. I was like, yo, this guy's on the same shit that I'm on. This nigga's on the same shit that I'm on. And then I think I followed him on the gram. And then I'm starting to realize like, yo, this guy loves Young Thug the way I like, the same way I do. This guy loves high end. I'm like, yeah, I found someone that's really on the same shit that I'm on. And we met actually because he actually reached out and asked me to style his cousin's music video. Yeah. But he hadn't even started making music yet. It was his cousin.
Wicked.
And he was like, can you come and style our music video? I was like, I've never styled, but I was like, I'll do it. He's like, yeah, we'll pay you and shit. And then I put him in London with my little brother, and then that was the first time me and Lancey met. Yeah.
What year was this?
2014. Maybe 2014, 2014. 2014, maybe top of 2015. And then from that moment we met, we've been locked in. And he ended up modeling my first collection as well, my first lookbook, and I was there for his first ever show. He's been recording his first album and stuff like that.
You have literally grown together.
Yeah. Once, like I said, I started meeting like the people that I looked up to, and that's when I was like, I think that kind of was the confirmation that I can do this shit for real. Okay. I can do this like I can play top rank. Like I can do this shit. I can make clothes and be selling like to the top people in the world because I'm seeing proof. They want my stuff. And not only do they want my stuff, but they wear it for their performances, for their things. That
they
are, like,
want
the
everybody
most
to
important
see
thing.
them wearing it.
Yeah.
That's a different feeling.
Yeah,
you know?
like Yeah, and because especially in them times, you couldn't get this type of access.
Yeah, bro, and you couldn't get near. Whereas now it feels like every man and
yeah,
his dog. Yeah, but them times, bro.
Yeah.
It wasn't happening.
It wasn't happening.
And that was like when I feel like Future and Thug and them, and they were in their
prime. Yeah, this is the prime. It's the prime of trap. Yeah. It's when trap's being brought to the world. It's like it was a different time. It was crazy.
Did you feel pressure at that point? Like pressure to live up to the new standard that you had kind of set for yourself, or the new expectation that you had for yourself? Because like you said, you knew you could be around the movers and the shakers, you get me? And sell to them.
Yeah, I don't know if I did. I don't know if I did feel the pressure at that point. I don't think I did. I don't think I'd felt it yet. I don't think I'd felt it yet. I think that came a little bit later. I think that came a little bit later. I think I was just still like in the kind of in the twilight zone and just like euphoric, like from like, yo, I'm meeting basically like my idols and shit like that. This shit is crazy. Like I'm from Milton Keynes, and like I found myself in LA because of my clothes that I make. I'm in LA like with Snoop Dogg. I'm at the BET Awards like gifting lounge. I'm with Snoop Dogg. I'm with Lil Durk. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This shit is really crazy. Yeah.
When you say the pressure came later on, is that pressure that came as a result of being like realizing that you're a businessman now?
Yeah.
Okay, talk through that.
Kind of after that kind of became the norm, like dealing with these types of people. And then I feel like once I dealt with kind of with those type of people, I feel like it's really when the footballer rush came in.
The footballer rush, that's a good way to put it still.
That's when that kind of began, and I was kind of started to become known as the guy like in town as like the go-to guy for jeans, and all the footballers are coming to get their jeans off me and stuff like that. And I feel that, years later, once I kind of became comfortable, like that became my reality. That's just who I was. Like, it doesn't feel mad now when so-and-so messages me. It's just kind of, like, oh, he's messaging me. Oh, he's messaging me. He wants it. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like my normal reality now is when I realized that I was so influential and I was literally leading the way when I was leading the culture. And at this point, because of that, now biters are coming out. And there's now starting to be brands copying me. Like, I've got Mike and Miri in my comments in like 2017. Like commenting on
before
like,
we even knew who Miri was, bro.
Yeah. I'm linking Offset at the airport, and he's like, "Yo, I was telling Miri like Miri just did some jeans with some glitter patches on his thing." I was like, "Yo, like that was my man's did or whatever like that." And then also like biters in the UK that were like coming along and had no type of respect or even real interest in this source that I've been tapping into, which is like this real like punk culture and like Saint Laurent and Hedy Slimane and the rock and roll look and all of that type of shit. Because you think I'm wearing like Saint Laurent boots, I'm wearing Wyatt boots with fucking skinny jeans and shit like that in Milton Keynes and shit. Like I'm really doing this shit. Like I'm putting up in parties Saint Laurent biker jeans. Like I'm really like that. And I'm seeing these entities now that are coming along that have seen me and my influence, and they're coming along and they've got no honor for the game, honor for the craftsmanship or anything like that. I'm busting my ass, distressing each jean by hand, like with a cheese grater. I've got scars on my knees where I used to go through it and cut me. I'm washing jeans in my mum's washing machine. She's beefing with me. She doesn't see it. She's calling me a bum, basically. Shit like that. And I'm putting my all into it. And then I'm seeing companies coming out in the UK and like that don't give a fuck. And to them, now it's become a trend because now I've had all these people wearing it, all my clients are footballers, etc., etc. And the rock and roll aesthetic is becoming more and more popular. But what I'm starting to realize now is that there's these biters biting my shit, making it in China and selling it for like less than half the price. Yeah. And what I then came to realize was that all the influence that I have and all the things that I've done, my business standpoint and my finances don't match it.
You're thinking, bruv, if these big companies or whatever are literally biting my shit making millions, then I should be a billionaire.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, that's what it was. It was like my buyers are benefiting off my work way more than me.
How did you deal with that mentally?
It was fucking me up. It was really fucking me up because I'm trying to make things happen and I'm not really making enough money to sustain myself, and at the same time fashion, like, you need to front a lot of money. You need to, like, even the next wave that you're about to do, you kind of need to be putting things into it whilst your current wave is going on. And that just wasn't possible for me because, like I said, it was much more niche than it is now, where everyone and their dog's into fashion. Back then, everyone else was just kind of normal. And it was very difficult for me because people see me doing crazy things and I'm like this elusive guy that people don't really know even where I'm from. A lot of people at the time think I'm from, because I'm not even in London. I'm in Milton Keynes and I'm doing all this greatness from Milton Keynes.
So people don't even see me.
Don't even see me, nothing like that. And like I said, like, I'm doing things, like I said, meeting young folk, like things that people haven't even heard of, but I just barely have anything. I barely have anything. And like I said, I'm not in a position where I can even, like I said, protect my work.
Like start suing people.
Yeah, and even like I said, and then on top of that, I haven't even got enough to, like I said, to pivot and be like, oh, all right, you lot take that, then watch me do this now. How I would now. You know what I mean? It's way different now. Like, the buyers come, but I have my own factory. I have whatever that is. I'm like, I'll be laughing. I'm like, okay, cool, watch. Like, what do I do? I'm gonna do this today. Not even tomorrow. And you will see. You know what I mean? But I didn't have that. I didn't have that privilege back then, and it was just really, it was hurting me. It was wearing down on my mental a lot. Like, I felt like an imposter. I felt like an imposter. I feel like I had imposter syndrome.
In what sense did you feel like? Did you feel like what, you're not meant to be here or something? Because
I felt like a bit like a fraud. I felt a bit like a fraud. I'm like, how am I the influence? I am the influence. I'm the influence. But like, the guys that are buying me, I can't even keep up with them financially. I can't even really back myself. What the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? And I didn't have no help. I never had no help.
Yeah, who could you even turn to talk about that?
No, I had no help. And like, my friends back home, like I said, they're heavily on road at this point. I don't have no help. I don't have a mentor. I didn't go to anything for anything. I don't have any funding. I don't have wealthy parents who can help me. My parents don't even want to support this. They want me to go back to uni or go to uni, whatever like that. So I've got no one that can truly help me. And yeah, like I said, I'm influential. I'm basically influential, but I'm not paid. Yeah.
So I got two questions from that, and you could probably answer them in one answer. What advice would you give to other designers that may end up in that situation? And two, how did you come out of that situation, both like mentally and like physically in action?
Yeah, it really fucked me up. It really fucked me up. It really like yeah, it fucked me up. And I'll definitely say, like, it was like a dark time for me. It was like a dark phase for me. And I remember, it's so funny because I talk about it sometimes now, and like I said, because back then I was in no way the Dagye that I am now. I didn't have the emotional intelligence that I have now. I was very, very emotional back then, and I was very driven. I was very driven by my emotions. I was very driven by my emotions, and I was very impulsive. So I remember the feeling and like all of that, what that was doing to my mental, and like how I was like kind of dealing with all of that. I remember one day I was just like, all right, fuck it, I'm just shutting it down. Not even I'm gonna sell the business or I'm gonna do all that. I was like, I'm just stopping, and I just stopped. Just stopped posting on Dagye. I think I even stopped posting on my personal.
I did not know that.
Yeah, people don't even know that. I just stopped for ages.
How long?
I think almost a year.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
What did you
maybe
do?
like 8 months. I was just like, I'm not sure if it's directly like, but I think that's really when I started to realize I need to fix myself.
As in the person. So it became less about Dagye Studios and about your name.
Yeah. It started becoming more like, I started really just like reflecting on myself and started looking at the parts of myself that I feel like most people don't want to look at. That's what it was. I feel like it got to a point where like no one truly cares about me. Nobody's trying to help me. And I've almost purposely put myself in some like unfavorable or uncomfortable situations. Like, for example, I fucked off uni. Obviously, I didn't even say I went to uni. I went to uni for a year, sports science up in Leeds that I had no interest in. I literally did it just to like make my parents. I was never going. spent all my time on the internet looking at clothes. And in fact, they had a store there called The Allotment. That was like a high-end store. And I learned a lot there. So shout out The Allotment and Soul, the owner. And yeah, I went to my first fashion week with them, and like I got introduced into buying. I actually made that store do a shop or do an order with Rude.
Yeah.
I put him onto Rude.
You put him onto Rude all them years ago?
Yeah, I put him onto Rude, and I think that would have been 2014. yeah. And he did an order with Rude for his store in Leeds.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's how deep it goes. But
no one even in London was wearing
no.
Rude.
I was already up on Reach. I was already following him. Like, he was doing big things. Like I said, I was just so tapped in. Like, the level of tapped in, nobody else was that tapped in. But yeah, it got to a point where just like, yeah, like I just had a lot of like a few like unfavorable like situations, like parts to my life that I knew were self-inflicted. And yeah, I think from that point I was just a little bit just like tired.
You was like worn out?
Yeah, I was just tired and I was just worn out, and I was just like, how I'm coming, I'm just not happy with it. So I need to make changes. I need to make changes, man. I need to go back to the drawing board. So that's really what that was. So when I closed it down, I was like, yeah, like, I need to go figure this shit out. And I feel like in that little gap there is when really all of this like self-discovery started, like the self-discovery, and starting to like peel back like the scabs on the wounds and see what's going on, like what's going on. I feel like that's when that part of my life started, because it was just like inadequacy. It was just like a feeling of inadequacy, and I had proof. I had proof for it.
And you was like, you never want to feel like that again.
Never want to feel like that again, type of thing. So
it's so interesting because, again, when I was taking my notes, with everything you've achieved today, and what you're doing now, which is obviously at an incredible level, I was going to ask, was that always the plan? But I feel like in terms of what you're describing now, is that year where the Dagye we see today in terms of ADWOA and Jeanius Bar Atelier, not necessarily the names or the brands itself, but is that where that type of higher level thinking started to come into play?
Yeah, because what it was is that in that time, I started to look at everything that got me here so far, and I started to analyze the mistakes that I'd made and things that were within the game, like nuance and stuff in the game that I was picking up on that I wasn't really realizing before. And I just like kind of started like realizing, like, you know, the mistakes I'd made along the way, and just like trying to analyze of how I can now counteract that now that I've gained some knowledge, and now that I'm kind of off the treadmill. I've jumped off the treadmill because I'm just not running the brand right now. And it's like, yo, like you need, like, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? I need to come back, to go back to the drawing board and come back way different. And yeah, like I said, I was, even throughout them years, like coming up and all of that, I just knew that I just knew that I was quite tortured. I knew I had quite a few things wrong with me, basically. That's really what it was. And I knew that stuff was transferring into some of these areas. And I feel like sometimes in certain situations, I knew that it could have gone better, and I was able to just pick up like where something could have gone better, and it was just my own fault, and it was just my fault, basically. You know what I mean?
You took that accountability.
Yeah. And I just knew I needed to be better. I just needed to be better. I needed to be better because, like I said, when I was younger, like, I was very emotional. I was very driven by my impulses, and I'd love to like put the blame on other people, put the blame on other situations, and things like that. And yeah, I just knew, I knew there needed to be change. There needed to be a change.
It's so interesting again because when I look at your TikToks and the things you talk about now, I can tell that it's born out of that experience, because you're giving people the harsh realities of what people can experience in life. Like, I was watching one of your videos and I remember someone commented like, "This is a sad way to live" or something.
Yeah,
like you know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about, innit? But I'm like, you're just telling people the reality though.
of life.
And you're particularly speaking to people who want to reach the upper echelons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the only way to get there is if you go through this type of self-discovery journey and just take things for what they are and counteract them like you said you did.
Yeah, because you're not, the world don't care. The world doesn't care what your reasons for things are. Like, the world doesn't care about your reasons for your shortcomings. Everybody has reasons. The world only cares about results.
Facts.
You understand what I mean? So if you want to do things, and yeah, maybe you've started off in a less favorable position to other people in that field, like for example, fashion, high-end fashion specifically, is a thing.
Rich man's game.
Yeah, it's a rich man's game. It's not made for us, you know?
Not at all.
It's not made for us at all. Like, really, if I'm really honest about it, I would say that fashion really is like, it's like a little, for rich people, for wealthy people, it's like a little creative endeavor to kind of show off in. Fashion really, high-end fashion really is like a wealthy, rich man. Say if I was like a wealthy like man that was like rich of real estate or something like that, fashion really is something that I'd have my daughter doing so that she's doing something.
So that other people can see. So it's for optics.
You know what I mean? It's not like, so like when you're coming into it like from a lower, like it's you're basically, it's one, that's why I said in one of my videos that I'm on a mission almost impossible. It's not made, it was never made for us. So when it's fine to want to do things that are like, you know, you wasn't really made for you or that, but just understand that you're gonna have to work harder than majority of other people who was made for. And if you're not ready to do that, don't get out of the kitchen. Don't come into this game. Because as I said, they don't care. They're not gonna put you in a microphone and be like, oh, I came from da-da-da-da-da, so because of that, you should judge me a little bit less harshly compared to no.
Not gonna happen.
That's not real work. That's not real life. That's not how life works. You know what I mean? And
in
again,
business, people's empathy doesn't extend.
It doesn't extend that far. And like I said, through my life, I had different levels at which I was learning these harsh realities. Like I said, in the football field, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing how you get this, how you get treated if you got this, how you get treated if you got that. This is the harsh reality. And
then in the fashion world, you're seeing it as well.
You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? I'm understanding that. Yeah, I'm just understanding like the difference in these things.
Do you know what, Dags? Yeah, with what you just said, that's why I kind of see you as the glitch.
Yeah.
Have you heard of a film called Wreck-It Ralph?
No.
I haven't even seen it before, but in the game, the film is basically about a game or something, and the glitch is basically like the answer that's not meant to be the answer in a weird way. So like the reason why I was so excited for this conversation, I'll be honest with you, Dags, yeah. Even when you first said to me you wanted to have a conversation or whatever and sit on the podcast, I didn't feel like I was ready. Because I feel like I want to be at, not the peak, but I want to be at a level where I can get the best conversation out of you because I view you as different to everybody else in the game, bro. Because, and I think one of the things that kind of showed me how different you are was I was watching your Paris vlog. And it was the one when you was in like the underground tunnel thing.
Yeah, the cave.
Broski. And I'm seeing different brand owners coming. I'm seeing different influential people coming, all these different stylish people coming. And I'm like, blood, they're all coming for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Which speaks to the level that you're at now in a game where, like you said, it wasn't built for you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like people are coming, like the buyers from stores. I'm like, bro, we're from two different worlds. I can see it, like, from the way you talk, from your body language, like, this is all fun and games to you. You've never had to worry. You know what I mean? They're not even realizing where I come from.
They don't, bro.
They don't understand where I come from.
And that's why this conversation, like I said to you before, is so important, bro.
Yeah,
because people are just seeing the end result. They're seeing somebody with two successful, thriving brands that are like no other brands in the world, creating pieces, selling for $2,000 and all of these things. And they're not understanding that you're not from the same world as these lot, bro. You didn't have no head start. You started 10 fucking meters back, like, bro, 100 meters back.
Like way behind. Like, and like I said, like, I feel like life really primed me for that, because I feel like almost every scenario that I can describe to you, that's how it felt. I came to the UK, I'm not speaking English. I'm coming from an inferior position. I gotta figure that out. You get into the field, same thing growing up, you know, you have the kids that like, whose parents have got it. We're going to Power League, their parents are dropping them and then picking them up. Well, us, when we would have to go in Paraleague, I remember me and Wiz, we'd have to take 2 buses. It's about an hour journey. You got to kick ball, you're tired, and after you got to do the same thing back.
Go to school the next day, and
at every position, like I'm starting behind compared to the same people that are in the same field as me. But every day after school, I remember like Harry and Daddy would get picked up by their granddad. They lived in some rural village somewhere. They didn't even know what the bus was for real. You know what I'm saying? As us, that's the norm.
Facts. And that's obviously no slight to these people.
No,
it's just a different world.
Yeah,
Dagye,
that's what it is.
When did you start to see that inferiority as a strength? Because I feel like, I don't know whether you've acknowledged it, but I feel like you've kind of taken that almost chip on your shoulder and it's pushed you to become the man you are today. Was there a moment or experience within fashion where you was like, you know what, fuck that, I'm proving you wrong?
Probably what we were just talking about there, where the biters are coming along and they're making way more money off of it than me. I'm seeing people, to me, saying, oh, so-and-so is buying you, like, whatever like that. But then, a few weeks later, whatever like that, still fucking with the more popular party that has been buying me.
They could even be wearing
I'm just
shit.
I'm seeing how fickle and fake it all is. And I'm just starting to realize that nobody cares. That's what it is, more and more so, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about my pain. Nobody cares about my struggles. Like, nobody cares, you know? Yeah, I feel like that, like I said, that dark time when, like I said, I kind of shut everything down and I was just like, nah, you know what? Like, I'm going to become powerful. I'm going to become fucking powerful and I'm going to do this shit for real. This time around, when I come back next time, it's not going to be no fucking games. Every single bit that I went through, every single bit of pain that I went through, I'm going to inject it and I'm going to come back a fucking monster. Whatever it is I don't have right now, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out how it is, where there's a will, there's a way. Like, I'm going to figure it out, you know? If somebody else has been able to do it, I'm going to figure it out. I might just not know it yet, but I'm going to figure it out. But I just had to, like, yeah, because a lot of it as well came from the fact that even throughout those initial years, a lot of the time, like, I didn't show up for myself the same way that I do now. That's why I'm so big on it now. You know, I feel like definitely I was far more insecure and stuff like that growing up, and at the time you're not aware of it. You don't know how insecure whilst you're insecure.
100%.
But I was just doing a lot of dumb shit even along the way. Like I said, a lot of the stuff, like I said, of me not being where I needed to be was self-inflicted. You know what I mean? For a long time, even when I say like certain, like my boys that came up with like that, for a long time, I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out with them. And shit didn't get serious until I even basically cut all them lot off and really decided to go on my hero's journey. So I talk about the hero's journey, where I say it's like every man has to go to that mountain. Everyone has to go to the top of the mountain, where you basically cut off everyone, or everyone cuts you off, and you have to go by yourself and you have to go face that stuff that you've been avoiding. You have to go face your fears. You have to go look at yourself truly in the mirror and, you know, and do what it is that you need to do. Like, I'd be doing some cool shit, but I'm still fucking around in car parks with the boys, smoking weed in cars, shit like that.
It don't make sense.
It's not matching up. You know what I mean?
Do you know what, Dags? What you're saying speaks to what one of my best friends said to me a year ago or something. She said something like, if the people or the things you're doing don't match with what you want from life, then you shouldn't be doing them.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Point blank, period.
That's what it was. So obviously I've always been like a outlaw, rebel kind of guy. And I'm like a black sheep in my family. So I'm kind of like the one that my parents kind of always took everything out on. So naturally I didn't really want to be around my parents much and all of that. And I feel like what that causes for a lot of kids, what you also see now in the youth now, is that that's what makes you go outside and look for that same connection with your friends on the outside.
You try to replace it.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, that just leads to bad shit. You know what I mean? Bad influences, bad shit, because you just haven't got the discernment to know what's good and what's bad, and people want. And then you remember when you come out with that energy, people can sense that like a shark with blood. So when they can sense that you got aspiration for connection, that's that opening for them to come and take advantage. You know what I mean? So, I let myself down too in those years. So even whilst things weren't really, a big part of itself was also letting myself down. Like, for example, not keeping my word. There's some of the stuff that I be talking about now. Like, the reason why I can talk about it the way I do is because it's the type of shit I used to do. You know, not keeping my word to myself. not keeping my word to myself, and things of that nature. But I feel like the biggest thing for me, like what was really torturing my soul, and I remember I was really saying this, like this is, yeah, like it was knowing what you should be doing and not doing it. That's what I feel like destroyed my soul. Like it actually drew me down into a depression. You know what I mean? Whereas like I knew what I should be doing, but I'm just not doing it.
And you couldn't figure out why you weren't doing it.
Yeah, like I should be completely locking in, but we're in this house doing whatever. Like why am I doing that? You know what I mean? And then you just do that over that time and time and time again until like you're just completely twisted on the inside. And that's how most people I feel like are walking around. They got no more confidence in their word to themselves, because they tell themselves they're going to do something. So many times they've not done it. So many times they should have been there for themselves, shut up for themselves, but they're not. But when it's their whatless friend or whatever like that, you're there every single time. Every time he calls you.
That's like the TikTok you put up the other day about the guy's best friend.
Yeah.
Footballers, you used the footballer best friend example.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Showing up for other people, but not showing up for yourself.
Yeah. And I had many experiences along that way that were just like that. Like I tell you one thing that probably most people don't know, but Dagye Ali had a brand called Leo Fortis. I designed it. I came up with the name. I designed it. I did everything. And somewhere along that way, things just went wrong against my favor. You know, nothing against him, nothing to do with him. It was some, corporate people involved that do what they do. Again, this is real life.
The powers that be.
You know what I mean? This guy is so creative, whatever like that, but there's nobody guarding him. There's nobody protecting him. He doesn't know the protocol, how to do whatever like that. And in the end, they took everything from me and they dashed me to the side. And that was another moment where you're just like, fucking hell. But if you're brave enough and you really look at it for what it is, you come to realize that it was my own fault because I left myself open to it. I wanted something like so bad. I wanted to do something, or I was desperate to do something, and people could smell that desperation and they burn you. People burn you because you let them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like, it's funny because it's funny because really creatively and taste-wise, I haven't changed that much.
He was going to say that.
I'm very much into most of the same things that I've been into.
It seems like that.
I've been wearing Rick Owens since 2013, 2014 in Milton Keynes.
You've been shopping
no one
vintage.
Ever heard it.
Now I see you going to your vintage when you're vlogging on YouTube and that's the same stuff.
It's the same stuff, just at different levels. But really what the change is, it's me that's changed. So really this whole journey has been the discovery of me. So all the growth really is just a reflection of me. When you grow, your life grows. You know? And
your life can consist of your businesses, your brands.
I mean, my life is my life is completely I've never had a job. Other than when I was in sick, when I had some part-time, but I've never had a job. I've never really been paid by anybody else. I've been trying to figure it out since. I put myself into such a death ground position where I had no choice but to figure out, but to make it.
There was no plan B.
I did a lot of shit, basically. I almost did probably a lot of stuff that you consider self-sabotage, simply so that I have no choice. I have to get it done. You know? That was kind of the attitude for me, but yeah, it was a lot of just unfavorable situations and things that happened to me that in most cases I didn't get a sorry for. I didn't get no type of nothing for.
No empathy.
No, nothing. You know, I had to just pick myself back up. And that was it. I had to just pick myself back up, you know? So when you go through that time and time and time again, where you know what you should be doing, but you don't do it, you're going to other people that on paper should be your piece of a puzzle to move to the next stage or whatever like that. And then when they come, weird situations happen where you've not done nothing wrong, but someone just slights you or does you wrong or cuts you out, nothing or anything like that. So that after a while, mixed with my results and my progress not matching my influence, just took me to a place where I was just sick of myself. I was just sick of myself, and I just took responsibility for it. And then I realized that, I need to burn myself down to the ground and rebuild myself.
Rebirth.
That was it. That's where it was. And then for that year, that 9 to 12 months, whatever it was, I just became just a freak of just like learning. And now I'm learning things that have nothing to do with fashion. I'm now starting to discover life. That's what it is now. And just really, in the big part of it, like, it was just getting my business acumen in order. And I don't know what made me do this, but an ad came up on YouTube for a guy called Ty Lopez, who's like one of them like guru people that has different businesses and teaches people how to do whatever. Quite early though, but he had a drop shipping course, and something in me made me buy the course, and it was like £700 or £800 or dollars or something like that. And it was like video lectures where he was teaching you, but it had a lot of just broad information that has to do with making money in general and just things of that nature. And I remember sitting down like every day and like go and doing it. And I never actually, because I guess maybe I wanted to do a dropshipping business to raise money to do what I wanted to do, whatever like that. But I never ended up actually making a dropshipping business. But it taught me invaluable lessons just about business. And it just set me with the framework to now go and discover the rest. And then from then onwards, it's just like, I'm starting to program now. Like, it was my version of what I do now, but I was like, I'm going for runs. Then there's a field behind my mum's crib. I'm going for runs now. I'm starting to read books. So I'm starting to put myself through just a program of just reprogramming myself. I'll go for a run. I'll sit on a bench. I'll be smoking. I was reading. And bit by bit, like, my brain is just starting to make the links. And I remember I had a mad moment on there while I was reading one book, and it was just like, my mind just went poof, and it's just like, it was just like something changed. It was like a crazy moment. I'll never forget it. Like, I'll never forget the moment on the bench. And then like from then, I mean, I feel like that's truly when I woke up. I feel like that's when I woke up.
So what did the rebirthed Dagye, well, we see the rebirthed Dagye today, but at that point after that year, how did that manifest in your businesses? Like, what did it start to look like?
So I'm now realizing, I'm starting to understand certain things just about, what makes this reality what it is, the invisible world, the mechanics behind things and stuff of that nature. So I'm growing in that sense, and the vision, along with that, the vision is just becoming more and more clear. I'm knowing that what I want to turn Dagye Studios into is like, the next evolution is I want it to be like the brands that I came up on that influenced me.
Oh, proper fashion house.
Like a real fashion house. I'm also aware now that most of the people in the UK are not inclined for that, and that my current clientele, probably most of them, are not for that. So I'm realizing that there's a difference between want and need, between what I want to do and what I need to do. So then I realized, okay, what I need to do then is I need to split Dagye Studios almost into two. One aspect of it is going to be like what I want to do, and one's going to be like what I need to do.
Jeanius is what you need to do.
Yeah.
ADWOA is what you want to do.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to leverage my experience and my taste and what I know into a way that I can put it out into the world? And this time around, it's not going to be like how it was Dagye Studios, where what I'm doing, my influence and what I'm doing, it's not reflecting. And yeah, I already had the name Jeanius Bar Atelier since 2017, but I just really had no use for it. It's going to be like a denim repair workshop. And yeah, I knew. So I knew what I needed to do was, the essence of what made Dagye Studios, I'm going to inject it into Jeanius Bar Atelier, but I'm going to refine it and I'm going to turn it into a machine. I'm going to take my personal feelings out of it and I'm going to implement everything that I learned in the years prior, all the mistakes I made. I'm going to show that I learned my lesson with this project. So you'll start to realize if you look back in time, you start to realize, well, there were so many strategic moves now that, like that can
Like
only
what?
have.
Give me an example.
Like for an example, one of my videos that I think resonated with people a lot on TikTok was I did a video where it was like, sometimes it's not the product work or the product that needs to change. Sometimes it's you. It's just you that they don't like. Sometimes they just don't like who it's coming from. Sometimes they don't like you, etc., etc. And it's a funny, almost like a running joke, like to this day, that for like the first 2-3 years, nobody knew that Jeanius Bar Atelier was me.
No, real talk. Broski, real talk. Oh my days. Yeah, no one. So you did that on purpose?
Yeah, it's completely thought out. I started to have that realization that people don't really like me that much. Everywhere I've gone, it's not like it's a new thing. Like I said, everywhere I've gone, I feel like people have this weird envy towards me, and people don't really like me. Like this is not new to me. Like people used to always like almost. I feel like back growing up, I feel like now that I've grown up, I've realized what it is. It's because whatever environment I was in, the people felt like almost offended that someone like me could feel that way about themselves and could have the ambition that they did. I remember when I first started doing the fashion shit in Milton Keynes, there'd be niggas that were actually part of my extended actual circle, actual friendship group. Like what's he doing? He thinks he's Kanye and all of this type of stuff.
I don't make jokes. And
Yeah, you know the jokes.
Yeah,
Niggas they might tell a joke, but they'll never tell a lie.
So they'll come with, you're wearing skinny jeans and all that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like I said, so then I'm like, like it's weird. Okay, cool. Like I'm doing great shit, but I've always had this affinity where people don't really like want to give me my flowers, don't really like me. But so okay, cool. You know what? Cool. If that's the case, what can I do about it? So I said, yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna hide myself. I ain't gonna even let it thingy. And yeah, my case study showed itself to me that you're right. Yeah. So that was like one of the things. That was just like one of the things.
And
There's
you think
so
it was
many more
definitely the right decision, yeah?
Oh yeah.
It seems like it.
100%. 100%.
No, that's so mad, bro. It's actually mad how throughout this conversation, it's like everything is just making sense now, bro. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Because even one of the questions that I was going to ask was about the versatility. Like, how did you believe you could balance two brands, especially at this level? But then to me, it's like, it wasn't necessarily about you believing whether you could do it or not. You had to.
Yeah, that's what it is. To me, it was felt like that's what I need to do. Yeah, and it's like when that inner voice talks to you, like I said, if you can get your mind to shut up, you will hear God talking to you. And that's what it was. I was just like, that's the only way that I'm going to be able to do what I need to do. Because I saw the roadblocks. I saw the things that were currently stopping things from being, from what they needed to be, you know? And then I was like, yeah, so I'm going to implement some action to go against that. Yeah.
And it's worked.
Yeah, that's it.
Speaking of you hiding, obviously now you're back outside. And like I said, before we started recording, we were kind of speaking about why you decided to do that. And I want to interrogate that because obviously I tried to find Dagye interview and I couldn't find nothing. But if anyone in this fashion space should have an interview by now, it should have been you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how comes you've decided to come out now and talk the way you're speaking and speak about the things that you're speaking about?
I think that whilst I was like really like going through my journey of like self-discovery and improving self and things of that nature, I just know once it got like what that did for me and like all that information, like me putting the information together and putting it together what I already had, like how it changed my life and arguably saved my life. I just knew what that was. And I think maybe times in the past, I just haven't felt that I haven't done enough to warrant speaking.
I've heard so many people say that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I said, self-awareness, man. Because sometimes, like I said, that's what I say, like being too smart sometimes can hinder you. Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm objectively analysing like, oh, I haven't done enough to come out here and talk like that. But it's not about that. Like, it's not about that sometimes. But I feel like my own journey obviously has, like, as you guys know, in the last probably year has like been just turned up dramatically. Again, like I just turned the volume up.
Crazy.
Because it was that time for Adwoa to get introduced into the world, and I just know that you can't have once without proper action. So it's like if Jeanius is already such a beast to handle, yeah, everyone, but you don't understand what comes behind it. Like, it's work. You know, great moments come from great work. So I'm like, if this is already so hard, how the hell do you think you're gonna then add another one to that as the same person and think you're gonna do it? It's not gonna work.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. So that's why I knew, okay, cool, it's time for Dagye 3.0 now. Like,
yeah.
I need to kick into gear. And that was the real, like I said, reason behind it. I feel like I think Instagram has become a bit like redundant. I'm also aware of like how the world's moved on and how people consume content now. And I understand that we live in an MP4 world. Now,
Not a JPEG world.
Yeah, it's not a JPEG world, it's an MP4 world. And I'd see many things like of, you know, people, social media influencers and things that you're trying to, again, just like anything else, I feel like it's just so lifeless and so bland. And people on there just, you know, doing the same thing. It's like 100 different people, but it's the exact same character. Someone standing there, get ready with me, standing in their boxes, do a little transition, throw it on themselves, blah, blah, blah. And just different ways. And I've just been observing TikTok for different minutes. There's been little times where I used it a little bit, like watching different videos, then I'd be off it completely, not using it, whatever. And it's funny, I'll give you a little gem, because even like when I first woke up, I set a couple of goals for me. And one of the goals I revealed was to teach the world the mechanics between thought, mind, and consciousness. That was actually one of my goals. And it's so funny because some people watching might relate, but you see, when you first wake up, you almost go crazy a little bit. And after waking up, it's like, for however time period, you basically want to just wake the rest of the world up. And that thing that you've discovered, that thing that you've learned, you basically want to show it to everybody. I remember even telling my mom about it. Like, my mom's looking at me like, bro,
what's he talk about?
I'm telling her this shit about the universe, and she's looking at me like, bro, what the fuck? Like, she's probably thinking her son's losing it. And that's how you have some people that like become awake and then they're kind of crazy. They're no longer kind of fit for normal life because they can't, you know? You don't want to be too awake. You got to come.
It's like what the Matrix, taking the red pill, the blue pill.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then most people, after a while, you kind of come back down to earth. You go from being too high back to that earth kind of thing. And then that kind of thought went to the back of my mind because I'm doing things in the physical, building the brand, doing whatever I'm doing. But I feel like when something's meant to be, even if you tend to try to put it off, somehow it will always just come back up. It will always just come back up. And, you know, like I said, I live like this, but I've never felt the compulsion to like give it to the world because it's not a pandering. I'm not doing it like to get attention or anything like that. This is real life. So, yeah, it was just like, okay. And then, yeah, I don't know what made me do the first one. I don't know what made me do it. But thinking about it in real time now, the only thing that I think I'll probably narrow it down to is that clearly I already had the thought to do this. Clearly, I already have, because even within, this is just who I am, even in my life. So even with my friends, I'm like the wise friend. So like whenever my friend needed to know something like that, they'll tell me like, no, what this means is da 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 da. That's just who I've been. Like even back in the days, like if one of my boys is like talking to a girl or older girl or something like that, and they didn't really have the minerals for it, bro, it'd be me texting for them. Like, that's real. Like, look, that's what they'll tell you. Like, they even wanted to pay me, like, because like I have a certain level of understanding. You know what I mean? So funny. There's one of my guys. There's one girl that like he used to whatever like that, and we used to laugh and be like, bro, she thinks she's dating him. She's really dating me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, like what I think I really pin it down to is that if I already had this inner knowing or inner want to do it, and this is really who I've already been, I honestly think that that's what I mean about the subconscious already knows what it wants to do. But what I think it might have been is that, like, we have ways to consciously, like with our conscious mind, like rationalize things in order to protect our ego. So for example, I might say that, yeah, I'm just not on that, or I just don't want to be out there like that, or that's just not for me, or something like that. Like, your conscious mind can just say that. You can conscious mind to conjure up those words. But now that I look back at it in hindsight, and I look at kind of the circumstances that it involved in this change, I truly think what it is that it's a subconscious confidence thing. I think that maybe I just wasn't subconsciously confident enough to do it. That's what I think it is.
You just didn't know.
Yeah, but you just don't know, because the subconscious thing, you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I think it is. I think that the fact that I've been on the program that I've been on for myself, I feel like it's raised my frequency, and whatever it was that was holding me up from doing that has been shed. It's like dead skin, you shed it. And I feel like once your frequency rises, or once you level like that, naturally you're just gonna do what you're supposed to do. And that's why I stress to people, get on program. Like, you need to live this life. Like, you need to get in this agile philosophy. Like, you need to be on this shit, because it's like,
I love that page, bro.
Yeah.
You already started. How long ago did you start it?
Like, I think like July.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's new. It's brand new.
Dropping gems, bro.
And again, nobody told me to do that. And I just started it, and then you see it's just developing now.
Yeah.
It started with like just like single posts, and like now it slides. Now I'm putting music in there, like, because it's like it's like a journey, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, when you get out your own way, that's what happens. When you get out of your own way, naturally, it's like you go from one to the next, and then inspiration, then you get like a thought in your head, oh, maybe try that. Like, people don't realize it.
Have you seen the value in what you're doing now? And
Hell yeah.
And I really want to talk about that, because what I think one of the values of it is, Dagye, is that it's humanized the character. And I think in terms of, especially when you talk about Instagram and whatnot, particularly someone like you with how you take pictures, and you're just being you. That's just your steez, you get me?
Yeah.
Somebody that isn't aware of you may just look at almost, like a character, because they can't necessarily see the personality.
Yeah.
And I think particularly with what you're building with ADWOA, like when we speak about other fashion houses and whatnot, I feel like once you get to that point, people want to feel like, not necessarily that they know you, but especially nowadays, they know you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what would you say the value is in how you're moving in terms of your personal brand now?
Yeah, I think it's immense, as you just said, because again, another thing is that I don't like people knowing me.
I know.
Yeah, I don't actually like people knowing me. You know what I mean? So when you're saying that, it's like, it's even kind of working a little bit of an uncomfortable reaction, because I don't like people knowing me. I have no interest. Like, you know, like how people, like, you know,
they want to be popular.
Or like, you know, like the whole new thing is like, obviously, like the YouTuber thing, whatever like that. And like, to me, it's like, YouTube is like, to me, the mechanics of YouTube, like, people see it's like a YouTuber. To me, I see it as trade privacy for money, or trade privacy for publicity. I see the mechanics behind things, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. I don't want that. I value like privacy way more, wherever it may be. And yeah, I've never had the desire for like, oh, like, I want people to know me, and I want to have this community of people that, like, I've never felt like that. You know what I mean? I've always kind of been like a lone wolf, and what this has always been about for me is about the work. It's about, my work, my product, my art, whatever it may be. But as I said, when it came to me leveling up and fixing the flaws of me and whatever it may be, it was human beings just like myself that I'm consuming their content. And that's what's helped me connect the dots. So if that's done it for me, then if I was to be open with this part of because I'm still not really in my life. Again, we put these blocks up in our mind, like, oh, if I do that, I'm basically, you know what I mean? That's your ego. So once I killed that, I'm like, oh damn, like this doesn't mean that I'm giving up. I'm just giving out that part of what it is, and it's not that deep. And it's like the possibility and the impact of it helping people is way more important than me feeling like I'm giving a part up of myself. And prior in the past, it wasn't like that. So I guess again, I consciously would like to make excuses for it, but if you're willing to strip it down, it's selfishness. You know? So yeah, I feel like the more you're on program, I feel like you've got a scale of selfishness and selflessness. And I feel like the more you're on program, the more the selflessness goes up and the selfishness goes down naturally.
And all the blessings come from there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like what you're kind of describing is now you've been able to strike that balance between giving some of Dagye without giving all of Dagye and still bearing the fruits of it for people, like as in people feeling like they know you enough for it to impact, you know, the brand and everything around you without you giving away the actual
Exactly. That's what it was. That's what I was trying to figure out, you know, because that's still not going to change. I still don't want people in my life.
Naturally.
However, that part is important, and it's like, this is my real life. Like my real life, take away the creative things, my real life has just been about killing old self and rising. That's me. That's really what the story of Dagye is really about. It's about seeing the weakness in yourself and killing it, killing that fear in your heart and rebirthing. So really, when you think of Dagye, that's really what you should think about. And the world needs that. You
shouldn't think about, oh, what does Dagye, like, who does Dagye chill with, or what's that? Nah, it's none of that stuff. You should think about ADWOA philosophy when
you know, so, and the world needs that because that's what everybody needs to do for their own self. And I truly feel like I know the truth to this thing called life because it's tried and tested for myself. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't favor one person and disfavor the other person. It's a universal truth. So I'm like, man, like, that's what I've got to do. That's what I want to give to people.
You know what, Dags, yeah? When we speak about the ADWOA philosophy, it's so powerful, bro. Super duper duper powerful. And do you feel like this is something that brand owners need to, not the ADWOA philosophy itself, but when people are starting new brands, do you feel like they need to have some sort of meaning? And the reason I ask you that is because with other conversations we've had, I can tell that you realize that some brands that don't necessarily have a meaning are still able to thrive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like everyone's player one is different.
Okay.
Everyone was put on here to do something different. Some people are playing in a field that was already made for them, or was already is for them. So they don't have to break no barriers. They don't have to do nothing that's worth writing a story about. So if you don't have to do nothing that's worth writing a story about, then how can I really expect for you to have a story behind your brand? It doesn't really make sense. Some things can just exist for the sake of existing, and that's fine. Imagine if there was a million stories. Everyone would be tired of stories.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some things can just exist simply because it's nice. Some things can just exist simply because
they're cheap.
They're cheap, and that's fine. We need variety in life, you know? But I feel like everybody truly, you know yourself. You know what your life is. You know what your level is. And you know what you've been through. You know what your reality is. And really and truly, if you're, like I said, willing to listen, you also know what your path is, or you know what you're supposed to do in this world, what you're supposed to give to this world. And I truly feel that God's given me a tough life and given me a lot to kind of work through so that I can work through it, come out the other side, and then give people the keys as to how I did that shit. That's really what I feel like you got, there's levels to stuff, and I feel like fashion's cool, but in reality, it's still not that important. It's one of the luxuries.
That's so crazy hearing you say that, you know?
Yeah.
Because not in a bad way, but
No,
it's
of
like
course.
fashion is such a part of you.
Yeah,
But
it's
to
my
get to
life.
the point
It's my
where,
life.
do you know what I mean? But to get to the point where you're like, really and truly, is it that important is mad.
Because I can look at objective, like, truth. I can look at reality. Like I said, I have a grip on reality. Like, how could I say that fashion is life when there's people dying all over the world? Like, there's people, so many countries and places where fashion is not even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have the privilege. You feel what I'm saying?
100%.
So if that's the case, how could fashion be life?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some people are privileged enough for fashion to be life, but the life I've lived has not been that.
Mm.
I had to figure all the other stuff out for this to be possible.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Hey, bro, this conversation's been mad, you know. And I love how it's flowed because I feel like everything we spoke about in the beginning in terms of me saying that people need to understand what it takes to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've been transparent enough to show that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm hopeful and I believe that once people see this, they'll have an even higher level of respect than they already have for you. And obviously the conversation isn't for that in terms of you, but I'm happy that you sharing in the way you shared is going to give you that. Do you know what I mean? Not to say it's going to give you your flowers because like you don't care about that.
Nah.
But broski, you deserve it, bro.
No, I appreciate
that.
that.
Honestly, like what you create and the work you put in to create what you create is like a beacon for everyone else, bro.
Yeah.
If somebody sees that Dagye, somebody from Milton Keynes, weren't even born in this country, has come and been able to create at this type of level with the resources that he has, they're going to be like, you know what, bro, I can do it too, fam.
Yeah. And I have people coming up to me all the time and it's like, yo, this is what this is for.
That's what it's
and
about.
Especially even like I said, since I started speaking, the amount of people that are coming up to me like, yo, that shit like changed my whole life. That shit changed the whole way I think. And I'm thinking like, bro, I probably started doing this like 3 weeks now or something like that. And already I'm like, okay, cool. This is what I'm here to do.
It's mad.
This is what I'm here to do, and I'm gonna take the responsibility. I'm not gonna shy away from it, and I'm gonna do this shit because it's like this shit is real.
Facts.
This shit is very real, man. Like I said, it gets deeper than just clothes and shit. Like I said, like people are going through real shit. People are going through real shit, and one thing about this life, as I just keep stressing, is no one cares. Like nobody cares. So if I can give people the tools or point them in the right direction to save themselves, when I know how cruel this world is, it's important, man.
Then you're going to do it.
Yeah, it's super important.
I'm going to start rounding off the conversation, right? And whilst I have you, I think it's important that I kind of ask straightforward questions that will proper give the like fashion, tangible fashion gems that the audience need. Do you know what I'm saying?
Into my life.
Yeah, bro, it's been amazing, bro. Because, bro, when you're speaking, it's piercing me, you know? Because I'm thinking about all the things that I'm not confronting. I'm like, fam, after this conversation, after I go out to eat with my bedrooms later, I'm going to go home and I'm going to think. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm going to start that journey. Even things like fitness, for example, I see how you speak about that and the impact it's had on you. And that's something I've always battled with, bro. Naturally, I'm young. So naturally, I'm Ghanaian. I have athletic genes and I'm fucking wasting them, bro.
See what I'm saying?
Do you get what I mean?
You know your level.
Yeah. I know what I can get to, and it's like
You know
I'm
what
not
I'm saying?
confronting what I need to confront to get there, bro.
That's what it's about.
But I want to talk about brand building, bro, because you have 2 successful standalone brands, bro. People dream to have one, bro.
Yeah.
You get me? But you've managed to create 2 things that are so special. They're so culturally relevant. They're so impactful. They're so meaningful. Do you know what I'm saying? And they represent that higher taste level that you speak about. Do you know what I mean? So what would you say are the main things that go into building brands like that?
I feel that you need to really, really get hands-on and really, really get on the ground, you know? If you were to go to Milton Keynes, look at the local areas, the local market and all that, and you ask about the black boy that was running around here years ago, they'll know who I'm talking about. You meet someone that you probably look and be like, no way, this guy knows him. I know all different types of people, and that's one of my superpowers, that I don't care. I don't care if I'm going to go find something in Mayfair or if I'm going to go find something in Brixton Market. You need to, like a fucking scavenger or whatever like that, you need to get on the ground and you need to figure things out. Like, brand, like, it's really about figuring things out and finding the right person. Down to even my factory that I built today. Like, I was in COVID on ground, going to different places. Like, talking to different people. Some of them can't even speak English or like that, and just trying to figure out like, how we can make something happen. And that's how I built my factory. That's how I found the people to partner with and build my factory. You know what I mean? So like when it comes to doing this stuff, like fashion, I'd say brand building is like a real cowboy business. It's like a real cowboy business. Like you need to really be out here and come up with unconventional ways and unconventional things to put together this project. You know, I feel that a lot of brands come out and they want everything so polished and perfect. I feel like maybe other businesses work like that. Maybe that's why they maybe coming into this thinking that that's the approach that you take. But fashion is so subjective and so sporadic that a lot of times it's not the logical thing that's gonna make it make sense. You know, and you got to be prepared to do that. You got to be prepared to take the back road. You got to be prepared to find a different way to do it. You know, like I think that's one of the main things that I see, not just on myself, but also in the others that are doing it. Like they really just have that's one of the main traits I see. That ability just to be able to get on the ground and do what it is that is required to figure it out. Go talk to that person because they might know the other person, you know? I remember, you know, we did the print workshop in Paris during the last fashion week, and so the print transfers that obviously they get printed off first and then you heat press them at the thing, whatever. The people that we work with over here that usually do it for us pulled out on us last minute whilst we've already announced that we're doing it. And I think this may be a day before I need to go out there. And what are we gonna do? You're gonna just like call it off even though there's people thinking, no. So I literally, on the Friday, I think I arrived on the Friday morning, and I'm literally on the ground going from print shop to French. You know, French people don't speak English. On the ground, on foot, not my staff, myself. And I think I went down a pipeline of 4 or 5 different print shops, and in the end, I found what I needed to find. This one's like, no, go to that shop down there. He's giving me instructions like it's 1990. He's not even giving me
the postcode or not.
He's telling me, go across the thing. When you see that shop, turn right and all of that. Then I find another store. No, sorry, you don't do that type of print here. But if you go down there, maybe they can help you. Then I go to another store. That store's got a young guy who's kind of with it, and he's like, oh, no, I don't do it. But maybe if you go down there, then blah, blah, blah. And then eventually I found it. It's now a company that I'm definitely going to be working with in Paris every single time I need to do something of that sort. They ended up having sick blanks that we ended up being able to use on the day of the pop-up. Like, so many things were discovered just out of that thing. And a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, no, like, I don't know. They don't speak English. It's a bit sketchy. It's a bit weird. You go down to the first one. The first one was rude to you. You had no interest in things. So you might just give up. Nah. You got to get on the ground and don't stop until you figured it out. Don't stop until you got the result you need.
Facts.
You know?
You got to be nimble.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to move quick.
Yeah. As I say, it's about finesse. It's about, you got to just, you know.
Do you know what, Dags? I was speaking to Clint one time and he gave me a wicked analogy that was very similar to what you said. I was speaking to him about how he feels when kind of other brands copy him and whatnot. Obviously, it's happened a lot. And he was saying, brother, at the end of the day, he looks at himself like R9. Old school phenomenal. The way he used to kick ball, you never know what he's going to do next. You don't know. Even though the goal is in that direction, he could go all the way around, come back, and then go to the goal. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think what you just said is a major key. Like the way you positioned it as fashion isn't the industry where you think the conventional, or isn't the industry where the conventional route always works. Because really and truly, the people we see today took the unconventional route, bro.
No. You'll see a lot of the denims now that we're kind of working with now on Jeanius for our next collection. It's a lot of like, with like a lot of embellishments and a lot of like Diamante and Swarovskis and all that. We're doing some very like eccentric stuff. And people don't realize that a lot of that stuff, on a lot of those pieces, I'm working with Indian and Asian dressmakers that make dresses for saris and stuff. Nobody else is gonna go do that. Nobody else is gonna go.
They wouldn't even think.
No, they're not gonna go on the street wherever that is just full of just Asian shops where everyone's looking at you absolutely insane, thinking, what's this black guy doing here? What's he doing in our store? You know?
It's that level. I don't even know what word to use for it.
I don't even know what you call that.
It's that level of, I'm going to make it happen. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And I think I'm also so happy you said that again, because people that watch this pod, not even in a rude way, but fashion may not necessarily be the thing for you.
Do you know
what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that, because something else may be for you.
Exactly.
But if it takes hearing conversations like this and really discovering what you need to do to get there, and then you realize that, you know what, I'm not willing to do that. Let me find something.
Fair.
That's a blessing in
Yeah,
itself, bro.
you know, or maybe
you
just
save
go
time,
yeah,
save
yeah,
money.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'd say. It's like,
wicked,
yeah,
man.
like check and see if it's for you.
I've got I'll say I got one more thing relating to brands. The aesthetics you're able to build, Dags, bro. Like your creative for both ADWOA and Jeanius is so wavy. And I love how, as much as it's one person behind it, of course you've got a team and whatnot, but one person behind it, it's serving two different audiences.
Yeah.
And you're able to give both audiences what they need. So it's kind of like you have to split your brain.
It is exactly like that.
How do you kind of manage that, and what goes into creating proper aesthetics for brands?
I think I can only speak on it for myself, but I feel like a big part of me being able to do that is just a reflection of my real life. I feel like my like I said, my career and my real life are so intertwined. I don't turn off. Like it doesn't turn. It's not like I go to work and no, it doesn't turn off. Like it's 24/7. But yeah, I truly feel like my clothing brands are like a physical extension of my life. And as we discussed earlier, I've been in a lot of different places, in a lot of different environments, a lots of different types of people. So I'd definitely say I'm a professional code switcher. Like, you know,
I've seen it still.
Yeah, you see me.
I've
yeah,
seen it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when we're just there in France, me and Rash just recording or watching.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, things, but I hear that you, even when you speaking to the French guys out there, you put on the little twang. I'm clocking all these things, bro.
I'm a professional code switcher. And I feel like one of my strengths as well is that I'm able to put myself in someone else's perspective quite well. You know, where it's like, I know how they're going to perceive it. I know how they need to receive it. And I can understand that although I like something, as long as something's for me, it doesn't mean that it's for that person. You know what I mean? I have my friends that are like completely not fashion guys at all, and I know what's for them. And I respect them, and I have an appreciation for everything. Even when something's not for me, I can objectively see what's good about it. And I can see how it serves who it's intended for. Do you understand what I mean?
100%.
Like, that's what it is. Like, for example, like, the whole streetwear get-up is not my thing. You won't really ever see me in, like, one of those fits, right? For example, like, majority of Cortez, for example, isn't for me. It's not what I'd go for. But I can objectively see how great it is, how great it is in that lane. You know what I'm trying to say?
100%.
I can see how great that is. I can see how great it's done, everything like that. So because of that, I understand that within that thing, that's the best of that thing. And it not being my personal taste of what I would like to personally wear does not in any way alter my ability to perceive it as that.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
100%.
Like, yeah, it's every. I feel like that's honestly one of my superpowers. Like, there's so many things, for example, that like Sench does, that it's not for me. I'll never. But I'm like looking like, bro, you do it so well. You do that thing. You do that thing so well.
Yeah.
Like, you do it so well. Like, you've mastered it. Yeah, you've mastered it. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. I've got a real, like, ability to, like, change my perspective and, like, open up different tabs. Like, okay, for the simple guy that doesn't want to do too much, this is simple done in the sickest way possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For example, Supreme is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like a box logo tee.
Yeah.
Fucking simple.
Simple.
But the reason why they're the biggest of that is because of how James Jebbia and whoever did it.
How you did it. And I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect
Doesn't
that.
mean you want to make shit like
Yeah,
that.
it doesn't mean I want to make it like that, but I respect it. I really, really respect it. I
Yeah.
really, really respect it. And because, like I said, I've been in so many different environments, like white environments as a black guy, Asian, whatever like that, I just know how to code switch. So because of that, I know how to put myself in somebody else's shoes and know how they would want it, how they'd want to receive it. Yeah.
It all comes down to knowing how to empathize in a way.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's why I really just suggest for people to get into the world, man, and just experience different things, go to different places.
Travel.
Experience different cultures.
I've seen you been a lot of places.
Yeah, I've been a lot of places. And every single time, it's like, you'll never regret traveling. It's like every time you've grown. Like, people want to talk about XP. One of the biggest ways to get more XP is by traveling. You're never going to regret it. You learn different perspectives. You just learn culture. And that's what broadens you. You know, like people want to ask about like how on earth did Virgil do this? Because Virgil was just he understood so many different cultures. He delved into so many different cultures. Like he understands how to speak someone else's language. That's what it's about. It's about me being able to meet you where you are in the best way possible.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
It takes work to be able to do that.
Yeah, it takes work.
And had you not had that year, you wouldn't be able to do that.
No way.
Bro, this convo, it's the best
way.
convo ever in the world. Broski, it was so worth the fucking wait,
it's
bro.
worth it, innit?
Dags, you don't understand how, bro, man was nervous about this conversation, bro. I'm not even saying it on like a corny flex.
No, of course not. No, just transparency,
man, respect you and admire you so fucking
that.
much, bro. And I wanted to make, excuse my French, I wanted to make sure that this conversation was amazing, that we left no stones unturned, bro. And I really think we have.
I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it. I felt very comfortable.
Good, man, I could tell, man.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. That's what you guys have set a really good vibe in here, man.
Thank you, man.
And yeah, man, it's sick. I feel like, you know, we complain about a lot about the UK and what it lacks and what doesn't exist here. But, you know, one thing that I realized, I went from a moaner, or I meant from a person that used to complain a lot, to understanding that you have to be the change. The change that you're so desperate to see, you have to be it. And I feel like a person that really also helped lock that into my mind is Jack Harper. Jack Harper, that's my bro.
Eliza, what a guy.
Yeah, he's
have you seen our interview with him?
No, I haven't.
Bro,
I've seen a clip of it, but I need to watch it.
Bro,
you know, I call him my refinement man. He's like he helps me like organize my thoughts and put them into thing. Shout out Jack, I've known him for years, but like, yeah, he's really big on like, you know, you have to be the change that you want to see, you know, and yeah, that's what it is. And I feel like this here, all of this, like all these little things that are like in its inception now are the things that are gonna, you know, be the change. And you guys are playing a big part in that. And I see how hungry you guys are, and I see how passionate you guys are. And yeah, man, I got hope. Like I said, the new gen, you guys are the ones. Because like I said, between me and you lot, it was a while. So that was like kind of like the dark phase when no one else was coming. And I'd be talking to even Lancey about it. So I was like, yeah. It's like these new lot, yeah, they're with it. They know what they're taking it there. They're gonna take it. So I got faith. I really got faith.
Wicked, man. That means a lot, bro. Honestly, that means a lot, bro. That clip, that's for me. What you just said, I'm clipping it for myself, for us. You get me?
Yeah, no cap.
But I got two more questions, Dags.
problem.
Yeah. The first one is, what does the future of Jeanius and ADWOA look like?
So for Jeanius Bar, I'd like to be the biggest sustainable brand in the world. You know, by denim. I like for it to be I like for it to kind of lead the charge, and you know, the world's already kind of moving towards that. But I like for just everyone as a whole to know that probably like almost everything that we need is already here. You know what I mean? That so much clothes have been made, so much clothes continues to be made.
You don't need to make more.
You don't, you know what I mean? You don't need to make another jersey. Like, you don't. Like, so a lot of the time it's like, yo, like, just remix stuff. Because a lot of the thing as well with me is that, like, I like, people do fast fashion. I'm into slow fashion. Like, you know, we have this whole culture of you wore something once, you took a picture and you can't wear it again. No. Like, I might even wear this fit for the whole week. Like, that's like, make good clothes so you feel comfortable wearing them again and again and again. So yeah, with Jeanius, I'd like us just to kind of build a universe around it. And just have something a little bit different to kind of go to the world and just spread out as far as we can and kind of give you know, there's a certain feeling that like is one of my favorite things about doing this, like when people come into our studio, especially when they're a little bit unsure and it's a little bit daunting for them and they've seen it online and they're a little bit they've seen all the footballers and they're a little bit like they've even been a bit apprehensive to even come. And they're like a very safe person, and they're even a little bit, like I said, reluctant for the flare. Oh, I'm not really into the flares, the baggy, whatever it may be. And then seeing them try it on, and then just seeing the look on their face. They don't even have to speak, because I can, like, it's that little 1 or 2 seconds, that little micro expression, like that feeling. I love it. I love it. So I want to spread that feeling across the world as much as possible. And then for A Day Without Angst, the goal is that I want to. Yeah, I don't think there's even really a brand that operates like that. That is kind of rooted in philosophy and rooted in true self-empowerment. Because you know, people use these words, these buzzwords, empowerment and da-di-da-di-da-di-da. But I'm having people really telling me. They'll
just put self-love on the t-shirt.
Come on, we don't give a fuck about that. That's ain't that fancy pants shit. Like, we don't give a fuck about that. That's what I mean. Like, we're doing real shit. Like, that's what. Like, I'm sorry. Like, give the real Dagye is coming out now a little bit. You know, but.
Hey, you've kept him in so well.
Yeah, I've kept him in well, right? Yeah. But, you know, Yeah, that happy-go-lucky stuff that the world's kind of pushing onto us, like this super positivity. Like, I'm not a big fan of it at all. But when I say like empowerment, I truly mean like, because people are telling me like, yo, this shit that you're saying like is changing my life. I can actually implement it, and it's like that's what I care about. I care about real results. So it's like, yeah, man, I wanted it to be a beacon of like strength and like change. As you know, the agile philosophy, like I want to really spread that across the world, because I understand that it's a real intangible way to truly, it's not no hippie jippy snake oil stuff. This is real shit. So I want to see that, and then you know the brand as an extension of that, being a worldwide super fashion house that is on the calendars at the fashion weeks, and just really showing that somebody came from nothing out the streets and is rubbing shoulders with the top rankers. That's what I want to see, because I feel like, as a whole, even just how the agile philosophy, I feel like, the world's just kind of going towards, it's just too soft, it's just going too soft. I feel like a lot of the things that have been put out are traps. Talk about this, talk about your feelings, this, be do that, which, in some cases is good, but I feel like, the intention behind a lot of it is not for good. And I feel like the world is going towards a place where people are giving away their power. More and more, and especially men, especially guys. And I feel like they're shying away from responsibility more and more. They're shying away from accountability more and more. And that's why I say, like, clothes is cool, but it's not the end or be all. Like, it's more about how we're showing up as human beings, and how much of ourselves are being our best selves. Because I feel like if everybody's at their best self, it cuts out a lot of fuckery. That's really what this is about. A lot of stuff gets avoided when, like, two people are very, like, secure in themselves and like themselves. I feel like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world is because people don't like themselves. And the world pushes for people not to like themselves.
Because you can take advantage.
Because you can take advantage, So that's really what my thing is, that I'm trying to be the change in that, Because it's like, we can have a conversation right now because we both like ourselves. Neither of us are insecure. But that's just not what's possible in the world. And it's like everything is just screwed. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Bro, everything you said you're going to do, I know you're going to do it. I have no doubt, bro.
Nah, no doubt.
I have no doubt. And I'm so excited, particularly for ADWOA, because I just know we're going to look back on it one day and say, this could be the greatest British designer ever, bro.
Yeah.
We can say that, bro. You're on that trajectory. Do you know what I'm saying?
I feel that for sure.
And going back to what you were saying before about fashion not necessarily being for us, that's why it makes it so powerful, Dags, bro. You get me, bro. Oh, bro, thank you so much for this conversation,
I appreciate
bro.
you guys for having me.
The last question is the same question we ask all of our guests. If you could give one piece of advice, last piece of advice, to the next generation of anyone wanting to get into fashion, what would it be?
It would be really understand what comes with this, and don't be too drawn in and obsessed with the glitz and the glam. I know that it looks very very lucrative, like online, and you're seeing people like almost doing nothing and kind of being paid for it, and it's so it's so rooted in vanity, and you look great and your looks and all of that. But understand that it's a very grueling and very, very hard business. So make sure you're in it for the right reasons, and make sure you're willing to put in the work, And I'd say make sure you're willing to put in the work for a long period of time, and a lot of the times without results, So like, don't think that this is a get rich quick scheme. Don't think that this is an easy lick. Like, only do this thing if you're really ready to do this thing for real, and like weather the storm and lock in. That's what I would say.
Dagye, my brother.
My guy.
Thank you so fucking much, bro.
Of course.
Bro, best episode ever. I'm saying it on camera. Rash, don't fucking edit this out, bro. Oh my days, bro.
Yeah, that was good. It was a pleasure. I actually really enjoyed that, bro.
Bro.
It's fire.
Fucking hell, bro.
Yeah, man.
It was just so seamless, bro.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't feel like there was even any break. I don't
bro,
know.
No, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh my days. So Dagye, all we need from you now is just say where people can find you on TikTok, Instagram, all of that.
Glasses back on. So my Instagram is Dagye with an _ at the end. The brand for the A Day Without Angst is literally just A Day Without Angst. And then the Jeanius page is Jeanius Bar Atelier. Jeanius with a J, Jeanius, BARATELIER. And yeah, just check us out, man. We got everything. We got everything that you need.
No, they do. They do.
Yeah.
Dagye's drip is the type of drip we need to aspire to be able to wear,
It's
bro.
aspirational.
Bro, it's aspirational shit, bro. You think when I'm not reviewing these pop-ups, I'm thinking one day, man. You get
That's
me?
what it's about, though.
That's what it's
man.
about.
That's
Real
what it's
talk,
about.
bro.
That's what it's
Real
about,
talk.
for sure. Yeah.
But guys, thank you for watching.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for
watching,
listening. You know where to find us. WMTV_LDN on basically everything. But yeah, man, I know you love this episode. You might be waiting for this one. But as I always say, keep it locked.